everyone, and welcome to another episode of By the Numbers. It's a podcast about Counter-Strike. My name's Richard Lewis. That's Duncan Thorin Shields. Sam Bain Law Davis is pressing the buttons. You're all getting wrecked by this shirt, apparently, because Sam didn't fucking check if it was like every time I move.
Well, usually a
like
webcam is an ass, but apparently, yeah, that one's so complicated. You confused the webcam.
I'm somewhere between the fucking Predator and a walking migraine at the minute. Like, you know what I mean? Like, what the fuck's this? Absolutely fucking ridiculous. So I might just get up after doing the show and get it. Yeah, I know it. Might have to.
You look like NASA's trying to fake edit you into a space station. Well, that's woke as fuck if anyone else.
All right, Eddie Bravo. Anyway, yeah, we're sponsored by Rivalry.gg. You can go to Rivalry.gg/RLS. And you can support the channel, sign up, and you can place bets in an esports environment that's safe, ethical. You get $350 of VIP bonuses. No reason not to do it, really. So you can. I'll wait.
When people say, right, that supposedly, like, this is a thing in animal training. The trick is he's supposed to reward the animal when it does something good to make it, like, set up the reward mechanism in his brain that this is behavior I'm encouraging. And then
I believe furries do that, yeah.
They do a lot of things, mate. They do fucking up, down, back, block, parry, start, and that makes them kill Republicans. I don't know. I don't know what the secret code is. But anyway, again, not bad. Woke reference.
Yeah, pretty good.
So here's the thing, though, right? Is you would think if people actually watch this show and claim, keyword there, claim, by the way, keep track of that, guys, claim that they don't watch it for the drama or complain about social media. What they would do is encourage the parts that are about Counter-Strike, and therefore we'd be more likely to create an entirely Counter-Strike based show. No, instead what they do is they argue and give massive engagement to the section where we mention things that have happened on Twitter and stuff, therefore ensuring we'll do it again, and also because we're people who don't like to be told what to do, by saying just don't do this, you've almost guaranteed it's going to happen. So, and ironically, the ultimate irony of all, you saying don't say these things on the show is very likely to make Richard reference you saying that, therefore spurring another rant. So you haven't thought it through, guys. You haven't thought it through.
Well, I was trying to ignore the fact that someone literally. Right, we haven't talked about social media or just general stuff around the scene for like ages and ages and ages because we had like loads of events to get through. We had those 2 ridiculous filler episodes, and then we had loads of shit just happening all at once, right? So like definitely for about 4 or 5 episodes, just haven't even referenced crazy shit people.
I just love the fact that some of the people who claim to be our own fans, I know, arseholes, right? That like if it's an episode where you're like, yeah, and then after that they were actually calling in death threats, and they're like, why are we hearing about this? I know. With this, as though on your own podcast, you're gonna be like, anything going on in the week? No, nothing much. Well, about that simple, eh? He's good with frags, isn't he?
It was just ridiculous though, because I even prefaced the segment going, and I know that some idiots out there are going to say this is all we ever talk about on the show, and that would be demonstrably false, but some idiot's going to say it anyway. And some idiot actually watched that segment, listened to that, and then went on into the Reddit thread, and said, fucking, oh yeah, look, this is all they ever talk about. I'm like, fucking hell. Do you know what I mean? It is at the stage now where I think the new overlay should just be my arse as a coin slot, my head sort of bent round looking at people, and you just push 25 cents in and just choose what fucking recurring phrase you want me to say. Simple is the best. Like we can just update them every 3 months based on what's happening in the scene. Like, why not? That's obviously what people want, Why not? That thread was a fucking disaster, man. Did you see it? The Reddit thread for the last episode. There's that guy, Rusty Jam 5, because he tries to make it look like an S. So fucking ill. So desperately ill. And no one's helping him, right? And he even says, like, yeah, I am triggered by him. I'm mad as hell. He like messaged the fucking Reddit moderator, said, look, they're talking about social media on a Counter-Strike podcast. Remove this content.
Why is he going so mad? It's like, what I don't get about people like that is they react as though they're trying to save the world from an asteroid impact, and it's just some like low level fucking rule on Reddit. Like, why are you pushing this to the end of the world?
Let me. Well, I could actually dig up the tweet, right? But basically, it's all over the fact that he's talked about me a little bit, like on HLTV, and he's talked, and he's one of those lurkers. We talked about the 50 bottom feeders on Reddit, right? And there's
who are low key, by the way, some of the most dedicated fans I've ever experienced in any area of all of it. Like, I wish my own fans watched as many of the episodes as these motherfuckers do.
Oh, I know. I think Eminem wrote a fucking song about these cunts. Anyway, I just tweeted at him, like, just saying, now then you mentally ill obsessive or something, like, because he was always in these threads. And then I blocked him. No,
you become great friends after that. Yeah.
No.
And he then messaged me on his actual he's got 2 Twitter accounts, like a lot of people do these days. One for shit posting and one that's just his real name. I won't say it on the stream, obviously. Effectively revealing who he is. There's all pictures of him in it, like he looks like the actual gremlin you would expect him to be. And he's messaging me going, I am so mad right now. I thought he was being sarcastic. He weren't, mate. He was mad angry that I'd just called him a mentally ill obsessive and then insta-blocked him, right? So ever since then, he's just gone DEFCON 1, hasn't he? He's like going around telling everyone, like, we must stop them. It's like he's gone full Jesse and Breaking Bad. You know what I mean? Mr. White's evil. Like, it's fucking brilliant. So there's him. There was some other fucking lunatic in there. Like, it's just, I don't know what's wrong with people. I keep saying it. I'm getting to the stage now in, like, 5 years' time, I think it is, where literally all forms of social media has to come with a health warning because they prove that this great, you know, that fucking movie Bird Box where everyone just goes mental.
Right, yeah.
That's not about a Cthulhu-like monster coming to Earth. It's just about Twitter. It's just about Twitter. It's just driven everyone up the fucking wall. Like I said, people don't even engage with what people actually say.
The funny thing is, though, Richard, I've actually noticed this trend more than just in esports, because in podcasts I follow elsewhere in the world, I've noticed this weird trend. Like, what the best example I'll give you is Joe Rogan's podcast. So Joe Rogan Experience is probably the biggest podcast in the world, right? If you ever go on the subreddit called Joe Rogan, right, your immediate assumption should be, these must be super fans of Joe Rogan, right? These must be like all his fans. Mate, they tear him up almost fucking every episode. Like, they're always just complaining about how he's a sellout and how he's fucking, it's boring and he should have gotten a different guest.
Oh,
you just think to yourself, like, mate, you know how much entertainment there is in the world? Like, why are you still here? You're clearly not a fan anymore. Like, maybe you were 3 years ago, but the idea that's your own fan base. Like, that's social media in a nutshell right there.
Yeah,
like,
and again,
who wanted that as the dream of being famous? Just having fans contact you directly every day.
Like, the ridiculous part is, as I said, you know, and he gets it all the time as well. I think everybody does these days. I even saw, you know, I'm not a big fan of his, like, constant need to virtue signal on Twitter, but, you know, I'll do, like, Anthony Fantano's music reviews. I think he does. I think they're very accessible, to the point. He's got pretty eclectic tastes. He dresses it up in a simple but funny and easy way to digest. I think he makes good content.
Yeah. Once he visits the political stuff, it goes a bit bad. But, you know, it's not his lane. Just stay in your lane. You know,
look, it's about as sophisticated as everyone else's take these days, you know, which is Orange Man bad, so we get it. But he actually tweeted something out that I retweeted. It was incredibly profound, and it was just like, you know, these days I don't even know why I bother interacting with the fan base, because we're never actually engaging on what I said or what I did.
Yes,
we're always engaging on what they imagined I said and what they imagined that I did, or what they wished I'd said, or what they wished I'd did.
I will say, like, it's not a discussion to debate with someone over what you said, especially because, remember, the premise should be, first of all, you have it as evidence. You literally have the tweet that they're all talking about. And secondly, you're the one who said it. So, like, the reason why that whole discussion, that's a perfect analogy for why social media sucks. Because realistically, if I said something, right, that to you sounded outrageous, your first assumption really should be like, oh, maybe he didn't mean it the way I thought he did. Like, what was his intention would be the main thing you want to know, right? If instead you just had a 20-minute rules lawyer argument with me about, but the way that you phrased it technically does mean that you said that's like, well, none of us got anywhere on this, did we? Like, what a waste of everyone's time. And it looks like you're having a conversation, but you're not. You're having like some mad, stalled out beginning of a conversation that never happens.
Yeah, it's really weird. And that thread was one of the worst. I mean...
was everyone just wrecking him?
Oh no! It wasn't really wrecking him. It was that standard back and forth. You know, let me give you a progression of a standard Reddit thread about like our content, and it's really weird as well because even though I think we make different types of content, right? I moved away from doing like editorial and opinion pieces in video form like you still do. I almost kind of feel like it's superfluous because we've got this show where we come together, we discuss our thoughts about Counter-Strike, putting out 2 videos in there, and you got guys like Dust doing it and other guys doing it.
I'd agree with you. It's definitely saturated.
Yeah, so I just kind of extricated myself from that on the basis that I think it's better to defer with people with, you know, more credibility in terms of the historical aspect and what their brands are. So I just don't do it anymore. It kind of just feels superfluous. But anyway, you know, like typically what happens in a content thread about one of us, the other is always brought up, even though I think we make different types of content. And what'll happen is it'll go, you know, Richard Lewis is going off again. The guy's such a man-child. You'll see this with man-child or man-baby. And then somebody will go, yeah, that's right. He blocked me for simply disagreeing with him. This is like the recurring phrase. And then other people will come and go, yeah, he did that to me too. And then eventually a bunch of like fans will get in there, like actual fans, not people who are just disturbed, and go, well, why can't he block who he wants? And they'll be going, well, he's a public figure. They make up all these mad excuses. And you'll get 50 or 60 comments, and then you might find one at the bottom that's been downvoted saying, yeah, I actually don't think Mousesports should have made that change. And you're like, the people who actually discuss the content get downvoted, so all the fucking retards can have an argument about the time I blocked them for supposedly just disagreeing. Then you go dig up the tweet, you check the username, you dig up the tweet, and it's like, the thing they disagreed about was whether or not I'm a fat, bald has-been. You know, I disagree. I do disagree with that assessment. Yeah, I do.
Mate, what was the episode? Was it last episode where you said this, that someone had actually complained, that I'd blocked them for calling me a white nationalist?
Yeah,
I believe that was the complaint. And by the way, this is the level of self-awareness of these people we're talking about. They're actually saying that. Like, I understand the ones who have the minimum self-awareness to lie and not say what they really said. And like Richard says, to say, I just had a disagreement with him over whether he should die or not. Like, I at least get that guy at least has some subterfuge. The guy who's just going like, you know, he blocked me for just saying he's a white nationalist. It's like, seems like a pretty reasonable reason to block someone, really. You know?
Well, yeah, so it is really bizarre. Like, I've never got my head around social media and all the sort of rules and cultures that have like risen up against it, because none of it's real. That's the key thing. Like, it's all artifice, it's all bullshit. Like, none of it is actually real. You know, the rules that they say where it's like, oh, you have more followers, so I can be hostile towards you, but you can't be hostile towards me because that's dogpiling. Or the rule that, well, you're the public figure and I'm a nobody, so even if you reply to me, you've lost. Like, that's the other thing they do. They tweet at me like, ha, kill yourself, fat, bald man. And I reply going, you must have an awesome life. And then, like, you might click on the profile and it'll be like, you know, personal achievement, I destroyed the biggest fatberg in the sewers of London. Just some really, you know, garbage bullshit like that. And you'll point that out to them and go, you know, do you enjoy working in the sewers, mate? And they'll go, well, you're not supposed to reply to me. Yeah, why are you replying to a nobody? I went like, think about that. Think about that unbelievable self-loathing you must feel to even say that to somebody. I am nobody, therefore by you engaging with me, I am so pathetic and worthless. It's actually a waste of your time to talk to me on Twitter. And I see that one all the time. And then just in general, this sort of rule about how I have to conduct myself compared to everybody else. I mean, that's the other thing as well. Apparently, once you get like beyond 10,000 followers on Twitter, you get this new life code of conduct. You can't call anyone a cunt. You can't call anyone a dickhead. You can't insult anybody. Anyone hurls abuse at you, you must adopt a Christ-like pose and go, son, you do not know what you do, and turn the other cheek and just let them
for anyone who doesn't know,
lash you up all day. Like,
Imagine in any scenario in your life, someone else who hadn't lived your life just goes, well, what you should do really right now is this. It's like, well, where is the impetus for this? What rule book are you coming for? And they're just making the rule up out of their ass. They don't know what they're talking about. Yep. So you come in, my job working on the underground, a guy actually attacked me because I wouldn't tell him what time this train was, I had to go run. Like, imagine the person going, well, what you should have done. It's like, how would you know you weren't even there? That's literally what people do all day long.
Oh, no, it's wild as fuck. It really is wild.
The same motherfuckers telling me that you're not welcome in this community, but what you should do is, well, which is it?
And it is the thing, guys. By the way, if you don't want a podcast to ever engage with this, you could always drown out the dickheads by actually talking about the things we do say. Just putting that out there. Your silence is part of the issue, isn't it? You never want to fucking actually engage with the content. So in the absence of noise,
by the numbers, viewers,
silence
is violence. I've said it. It's now a fact.
Yeah, exactly. You would very easily drown out these fucking dickheads, but
guys, imagine an advert, right? And there's a guy, Rusty James or whatever, and he's about to step off a street corner as Richard walks by to say, "Hey, you punk motherfucker, you need to be the cool guy who steps off that pavement with him and goes, hey, no. Not today. Another good reference there, but whatever.
Yeah, pretty good. I liked it. So obviously we'll get to the big news in Counter-Strike right now. Dick Stacey stickers. There hasn't been an update for a while. I'm starting to get a little bit worried, actually, about whether or not we're going to get the stickers. Last I heard, his signature had been approved. It was very good of Dick Stacey, a semi-professional player who plays at Greyhound, in case you're not aware of it. He did give us an update saying his sticker has been accepted into the game. There will be something that looks like a penis in the game, which is great news, obviously, for the game.
By the way, I'll never be able to get over that. Like, of all the straw man, dog shit arguments I've seen on the internet, this is going to be one of the most ridiculous. To imply that putting something into a game in a section that isn't even for random art, it's supposed to be for signatures, the way your name is written, to be immortalized forever if esports becomes a massive thing, is the same as making a joke about a similar topic on a throwaway podcast that no one will listen to in a week from now. So exactly the same scenario. So when we say, Richard, bit immature, don't want to put a dick in there, they're like, but you said dick once. It's like, right, sound right.
I'm not in the game, am I?
If that's a real thing, I'm actually just going to walk up this walkway, close up the fucking rocket, and I'm just off to wherever, parts unknown, whatever. I'll leave this fucking solar. If the world, if the
NASA won't let you, brother. NASA won't let you. You'll just get capped. You'll see too much, buddy.
That's true. That's true.
So it's obviously something.
I suspect NASA will never let me get out of low Earth orbit.
No.
Just like everyone else.
Yeah. But the irony.
So I've talked so much shit over the years. I can actually just settle into dropping mad references at that, even though you can tell I sort of secretly might believe it. But I learned this from
if you believe in fucking flat Earth, I'm just gonna come up behind you like fucking one from the cuckoo's nest. I'll just put you down.
I learned it from Anders. The secret is you want to still say your mad opinions, but you don't want to be judged fully on them. So you have to do it as though haha, just a good reference to know, isn't it, guys? I secretly believe it.
Yeah, that's like Anders with his simulation theory.
Yeah.
But anyway, the irony, of course, of a fan base obsessed with dick jokes being triggered by the word semi. I hope that's not lost on anyone. But yeah, we will keep you updated about the stickers. Obviously, we know so far the signature has been accepted. There hasn't been any last-minute alterations. So with any if there's any justice in the world, we will have our Dick Stacey stickers really soon. So we'll keep you up to date. We'll have an emergency by the numbers podcast if anything changes. We will keep you up to date with this very.
The saddest thing about it as well, Rich, is there's a lot of people, for sure, this is how pathetic CSGO is. There's a lot of people will buy that sticker, not even because they're a fan of him, just because it has the dick in it.
Oh, no, that's the whole premise of the thing. What people went crazy about was when I said, it's obviously a cash grab, in the sense that, he is, and it's very intelligent, he understands that.
For sure. It's like the Smiths one where he's going to put Yola's noobs on it. That's a genius move, of course.
Yeah, exactly. And Keo did it with the problem. The only difference I would say is if you're Taco and you call yourself Vaco, or you're Keo and you have the problem in there, that's all fine. But then, once you start drawing actual knobs, I'm kind of tapped out at that point. Again, the thing is, what I didn't realize was on the original signature. Sam, can you get the original Dick Stacey signature? Because I just want to show you something. Because I actually
the first one was the maddest one. Because here's the reason why. Yeah. As we pointed out last time, first of all, it had the little line at the top, which is way too like that doesn't even fit in a signature.
No, but what I
also
missed,
the nuts was so aggressively placed.
No, they were aggressive nuts. You're absolutely right, mate. And have you got it there, Sam?
Like those fucking nuts were like Khalil Mack.
Yeah,
he's ready to
now I don't even know if you can show this on Twitch, right? But what you've got to remember is the eye. What I missed before, the eye in Dick is a teardrop of cum.
Yeah,
it's actually dripping off the end. It wasn't even just a dick with aggressive nuts. It was a drippy dick. He actually put a drippy dick in the fucking like. I can't believe people are like going, well, Valve are just so bloody. Social justice is taking over. Like, it's a fucking drippy knob.
I'll drop the link in the chat. I'm not sure I can show it. So there you go.
Yeah, it was a drippy knob. It's ridiculous that anyone's going to fucking argue for the drippy knob. I didn't even look at it that closely the first time. But yeah. And then there was other people who were saying the Shroud sticker was a dick, right? Now, we can definitely show...
By the way, can I just point out two things very quickly for all the morons? This isn't going to help, but I'll just say it for the sake of someone saying it. One, again, Richard's whole premise was actually about Reddit mods initially. It wasn't even about this thing. Secondly, because Richard isn't actually a fucking authoritarian left-wing dictator, him saying he doesn't like something doesn't mean it is now outlawed and the people who created it will be killed. Like, he is just saying he isn't a big fan of it. That's it.
Yeah, it's just not something I think
can still exist. He just doesn't like it, believe it or not.
Yeah, exactly. And I've even said it's smart to make the money.
You would think morons would understand this, being as that's the exact same premise they claim to have with us. They don't like us, but we're allowed to exist. So
I'm still getting tweets about it today. Can you believe? Like, going, what are you attacking? He's a good lad, big dick stick. He's always had a dick. Like,
he's always had a dick.
Yeah, he's always been about that dick. It's like,
was Shroud trying to imply that this is a dick as well?
No. So what happened was somebody asked him about it.
Does look a bit like it, I guess. But
no, but you can even bring this up, right? Because people went. Oh, Shroud's done it before. You didn't complain about Shroud. Mate, I don't know what, like, Shroud supposedly said he did it on purpose.
Like a Pokeball or something. It's too fat. Forget a Coke can. That's like a fucking barrel out of like the top of Dust 2 or something.
Right. And apparently on stream.
Shroud, you're good at streaming. You're not loaded like that, son. Get the fuck out of my face.
So apparently he said on stream when asked about it, he went, yeah, I did deliberately try and make it look like a dick, but I didn't say anything about it. Now, if nobody had ever told me that, I wouldn't even see it. Because I'm not, that phallically obsessed. I'm follically challenged, not phallically challenged. And, even then, even when you look, you have to stare really hard at that to see that it's a dick, right? So it's not the same. His name has
nothing to do with dicks, does it? So
yeah, exactly. If he was called Shroom Tip or something, then maybe. But it's just ridiculous. It's just, people were like literally making the argument. Oh, you didn't go after Shroud. Why? He's scared because he's so powerful. The big Shroud lobby will get you. Like, no, seriously.
I don't think people believe that shit as well.
Oh, man. The level of fucking illness I've dealt with this week. I'm going to do a fucking stream. I'm actually going to I think tonight, I've got some work to do. I'm just going to come on. I'm just going to show everybody every single fucking deranged comment I got. I'm still getting them today.
By the way,
it's been a week, guys. It's been a week. There's nothing happening in Australia. There's nothing happening in Australia.
No, there's nothing going on in CS. But I will say as well, the other thing that is triggering me at the moment is because obviously Fortnite has gotten so huge. It's like, when people make that joke of like,
let's put a dick in that game, eh? Yeah, go on, sorry.
May as well. At this point in time, the ridiculous part about it is, how many fucking times am I going to have to see real life famous celebrities, sports heroes? Next up, there's literally going to be a commercial where it's like Tom Brady or someone's going to be like, he's just coming out of the championship game. Oh, I've just won another championship, but I can't wait to get home and watch Ninja stream. He's a real professional. Like, it's that sort of shit. It's like, how many? Why is? I thought it was going to be cool. My culture's coming into the mainstream. My culture's like fucking alien, just in like bursting out of the stomach of the real heroes of sports culture. What's going on?
Did you see the Ninja Super Bowl commercial?
Yeah, and it's the moment when Jim Brown, fucking legendary, fucking like one of the most great man's men of all time. It's like, oh shit, is that Ninja? I'm just like, they were like Hall of Fame players as well. It was all really famous players. I mean, some of them were active players as well, I think. But like, come on.
Mate, the mad thing is as well, like they've waited until he's like 82 years old.
So, there's no way he knows who Ninja is. That's so fake.
No, but like obviously, right? But the worst part is like
plays it or some shit. I don't know.
He'll probably be dead in a few years, you know. And like you're gonna make him go out like that. The last time we see Jim Brown, he's going, "Oh, hey, is that Ninja? Don't do that to me. Don't do that to Jim. Don't do that to anybody." The funny thing is, as well, like, and I sort of called this, and I'm gonna go out and I'm gonna I'll go on record and say it again. I'm gonna double down, triple down, quadruple down. What people don't understand is you have streamers who are on top, right? And when they're on top, they think they're the shit and they're completely untouchable and nothing can ever bring them down, and it's their time. And then you look where these motherfuckers are in 2 years. This is a game about longevity. It's better to have slow, consistent success than boom and bust, right? And you see it with lots of streamers. I know streamers that no motherfucker in this chat would even know were making like $1 million a year, 5 years ago. They ain't doing shit now. They've got like, they've got less viewers than we've got now on their regular streams, and they hate their life because they blew all that money because they thought it was going to last forever. Now, I was told the other day, like my boy Summit, right? 5Ed, love him, right? He's got more subs than
does look like a Peanuts character in real life.
Yeah, he does.
No, listen, I love Peanuts. I also have affection for the man, but he does look like a Peanuts character in real life. Charles Schultz drew this motherfucker. Yeah,
right. So apparently he's jumped ahead Ninja in subs. I think Shroud's ahead of Ninja in subs again. It's like, well, why? I'll tell you why. I hope you're making a lot of money doing all this. I don't see any movement. I hope you're making a lot of money fucking embarrassing yourself.
Get me out.
On television and stuff.
Because next it's going to be like fucking Nelson Mandela meeting him. Oh, it was a dream of mine to meet Ninja in my life. Like, fuck everyone in the room who decided that was a good idea for an advert.
The problem you've got is obviously like once you start neglecting your core audience, and we all knew as well, by the way, a lot of those subs were just bullshit to fucking tie in with that Fortnite promotion that they had, mysterious accounts that were created on that day, subbed to Ninja on that day, claimed a reward on that day, and then just vanished into the ether. And we all have to pretend it's legitimate. There was nothing untoward going on. Meanwhile, on eBay, they were fucking selling all these like Fortnite rewards and Fortnite accounts and stuff. Whatever, we'll all pretend it's legit. But it's just like, listen, guys, nothing lasts forever. I'm just telling you. And that Super Bowl commercial, who's he winning over with that? Like who was watching that? Like you sat there watching the worst fucking Super Bowl of all time, by the way. Super grindy defensive game for fucking 3 quarters. Lowest scoring Super Bowl after 3 quarters in history. And you sat there and you're like, that pink head. It's a guy, is it? Oh, okay, yeah. I'll check him out for sure, yeah. Never happening. So, right, should we talk about Counter-Strike?
Especially as what I love as well is Ninja does look like he was literally designed as a psyop to trigger traditionally conservative people. Like, this country's going to the bloody dogs because he looks like Ellen DeGeneres. And they're like, is he a man or what? What is this shit? Like, he looks exactly like he's set up to be like, what the bloody hell's going on here? It's like...
This country's going to hell in a handbasket.
Exactly. And it's just Ninja on the screen, isn't it?
Now I'm going to read my Jeremy Clarkson. Yeah, bloody, that global warming hoax, sports cars. Yeah, right. Okay, let's talk about Counter-Strike. Timestamp all of that, Sam. Timestamp the first hour and have everyone in the room.
Start now. Start here now.
Right, welcome to another episode of By the Numbers. Right, big news. There was actually a big story in Counter-Strike that wasn't Dick Stacey stickers. It's Mousesports. Their box is gone, Duncan. Their box is gone. This is the news that Mousesports kicked 2 players from their team. And now you might, and the coach, of course. Yeah, out you go. I don't mind that so much. I couldn't figure out what the fuck he was doing anyway. He was a check stealer, 100%. Don't make the joke that he's from the Ukraine, please, Duncan. Resist. Right, so anyway, you might think to yourself, well, who the fuck would Mousesports kick after they've been in this weird like funk where they didn't qualify for the major, they're slowly crawling down the rankings again. after they arrested their initial slide and were able to fix it when they brought Sticko back and got rid of Snacks. And I've said, like, it's Rops who is critically underperforming compared to his skill ceiling right now. It's Sonny that's gone off the boil. But I said these would be unbelievably big kicks to make. Yes. Oscar, notoriously hit and miss. TikTok, as I said, TikTok's ruined that forever. Every time I say it, people are just doing this in the chat. I guess they never miss. Like, fuck off. But, none of those are the guys who get kicked. Instead, it is the guy who has captained this fucking shit show and been statistically like their most consistent player and their most clutch player, right? You kick Chris J over 4 years on the mouse. He is Mousesports. You kick him, and then on top of that, after you just bring him back,
so he's like the fucking prequel being like, "I am the Senate."
Yeah, no, he is the Senate, mate. He is the fucking Senate. You kick him, and then shortly after bringing Sticko back, after you realise, fucking hell, yeah, he did a lot of good work in the team. So much good work. We're gonna kick him for a second time. I mean, fucking hell. Like I don't know what is going on there. Like,
bring him down. Get him out.
I bet Sticko's like
mistress, crush them. Like,
I bet Sticko's like one of those kids who is in like the fucking foster home situation, who's had such a rough life. He doesn't even bother unpacking his bag when he goes to the new house. He just keeps it all under his bed in a suitcase that's got a combination.
That's a tragic analogy, isn't it?
It is though. That's like who he is, because he knew he was going to get kicked eventually, didn't he? He never let himself put down roots and settle down.
Well, no point in getting the clothes out.
Exactly.
These guys will reject me too.
Yeah, that's basically what he's doing. He goes, "I know Mr. Genghis said I could stay and he'd be my new dad, but I knew this day would come. Why would anyone love me?" Oh, it's the bus here, right? Yeah, okay, come in.
Back to the centre. Maybe they won't beat me up and take my lunch money this time.
Oscar, are you all right? You're staying, are you? Right. See ya.
Fuck off.
It's nice to become friends with you and that.
You'll write to me, won't you? Anyway, right. Leave that in. Fuck it. The orphan lobby's not that powerful. I think we'll be okay with orphan jugs. Yeah,
gotta have some content.
Right. Anyway, so they kick Chris J, the Senate, and Sticko, who was the solution to the problem, the fucking foundations on which a good team can be built, and totally have ignored the fact that actually the 3 star players they've kept have all been playing like fucking garbage lately. I'm aghast at this. I do not understand what they're thinking. So I want to get your reaction to this move, because I think this is fucking beyond stupid.
Like, the big problem I have with this move is actually the fact that it's one of the rare times you see a move where someone has cut all these players and they've yet to announce a single replacement. Normally you do both at the same time. We are removing this player, because you notice they said they're all benched, because obviously they're not going to just release them from their contract. So they've said they're all benched with no indication, as far as I know, like, based on things, I haven't heard anything behind the scenes around this team getting a player either. So, like, here's the thing. If I know behind the scenes, it's because they've kicked Chris J because they know they're getting Carrigan and they've decided to start over, and they thought kick Sticko as well because we're going to wipe the slate clean, give him a couple of the star players, figure out what to do with it. Like that, if all of that was guaranteed, I'd say there's a logic to it. But the big thing that worries me about this move is, like what you said, is like the way they've kicked and kept people seems very cynical. Like, it looks to me like you just kept the 3-star players. Each of them has their own flaw and their own strength. And it's like, you thought to yourself, why give these players to anyone else? Let's just somehow hope, even though I've got less than a team, I've got nothing at the moment, I've just got a few flawed pieces. Let's hope whoever comes in next reformulates the entire team into a way better squad. Because basically the message you sent these players is, you guys can do anything you want. There's no reason you'll ever get kicked.
Well, sure. Now, let's just imagine, right, a world where, they do get Carrigan, right?
Oh, by the way, I'll just say this. Actually, here's a good point. I should probably make the point.
Yeah, go on.
Anyone out there who thinks it was justified to kick Stico? I mean, I'll tell you that when Stico got kicked, it was with the context that because it was already rumored it was going to happen a few months before, his numbers did go to shit. But that also does coincide with the idea that, like, you're going to get kicked, the pressure just becomes insane, and you get worse and worse and worse, and you get scapegoated. Same thing happened in SK every time with all those players, Bolts and Taco. So I will say he did go bad at the end. But anyone who uses that to justify kicking him, like, look, his numbers are terrible. Right, by that logic, you should all want Sonny kicked from Mousesports. He's been fucking atrocious these last few months. By the logic of his role in that team, he should be kicked. He's like a goal scorer who scores 3 goals in a season. You'd be hard-pressed to argue why that guy should stay around. Now, I know why, because you hope he comes back again, but no one gave that. You notice that you don't get that benefit of the doubt if you're a Stico. You just get instantly wrecked. Of course.
No, but that's been the key lament, isn't it? I don't know, again, I think the term support player is really overplayed. But what you have to understand is for any team to work, there has to be somebody doing...
Someone has to sacrifice, right?
Yeah, exactly. There has to be somebody that is willing to sacrifice their statistics to do the fundamentals. And you actually see lots of top players that don't do the fundamentals very well. And you see people that are given like unbelievable positions and influence on a roster. Again, Skadoodle's one of them, where they don't do the basics well. I mean, Sixer was another one. Like, Sixer looked like he'd never seen a fucking flashbang before. Every time he pulled one out, he would be, walking around like this with it cooked, like it was like 1.6 or some shit. It's like, it was very clear a player like that didn't put the effort in, yet this is your primary AWPer. How can you ever succeed with a player like that? Meanwhile, what Stico does is not only is he the link in the team when communication starts to break down, which has been said in every interview about him, he's also the guy who fucking comes out and, he will flash for somebody else. He will waste time on a site running round a pillar instead of trying to get kills so people can rotate. He knows he's going to die. He knows it's not the optimal play, but he also knows if he peaks and doesn't get like 2 or 3 kills, you're going to lose the site and probably lose the round. If you watch how he plays, everything he does is geared towards the team. Someone has to sacrifice. Taco used to do it all the time. Taco was doing it in Team Liquid. It's like there has to be somebody who does that. One of the reasons that Mousesports was Snacks failed. Snacks would never do that. No way. So the idea that Stico is some sort of persistent problem in Mousesports, that you get to kick him twice, just reeks of idiocy. And I'll also tell you this: if you are getting Carrigan, I guarantee you, Carrigan would have wanted to work with Stico, 100%. I think about when he was at the initial phase lineup when Keo was benched. Who did he bring back immediately? He got Keo off the bench. You know why? Because he needs a player that understands the sacrificial element of the game, and he's always wanted to work with players. I basically
made a similar point like that in my video, which is that even if you were getting Carrigan, I said the same thing. I'd wait and see if he likes Stico or not. Like, hold up. If the idea is you're going to let Carrigan test the roster and figure out whether he's going to kick Adder or Rops or someone, let him check the whole roster. I'm sure he can tell you if this guy can work in a team or not.
Yeah, and straight up, here's what I would have done if I was Mousesports. Let's assume the Carrigan move is 100% on. I think it's a good move for them if it's true. I think Carrigan has previous within the organization. He's a part of their history, and obviously the most highly desirable free agent out there right now. So
the ideal kind of roster to give him, seemingly. You know?
Exactly. Failing star players. It's tailor-made for him. Or star players without like a direction, they're having a bit of a slump. Carrigan is tailor-made for a team like this. So let's say you get Carrigan. Here's what I think Carrigan would want to do. I think he'd want to keep Stico, and I think he would want Oscar out and probably bring Chris J back. And most likely, I think it would be Sonny that would probably be surplus to requirements in his vision for the team. So, it's just weird to me. It just seems really weird that there's not been a bigger kind of focus on what if we're bringing in a new in-game leader anyway. Why would you cut a player like Chris J? Why would you cut a player like Stico? Why not get Carrigan in? Why not have him sort of come out and say like, "Oh, I want to play with these guys, these guys, these guys." Let him dictate the roster. That's the optimal move. So yeah, it's very, very strange to me. And like I said, what a really weird, disrespectful way to treat Chris J. Where's his big leaving video? You know, where's like this legendary player? I know technically he's only benched, but if this really is the end of the road for him with Mousesports, he's been your most loyal servant. He's been your in-game leader. He's been your AWPer. He fucking learnt a rifle when that weren't working out. He was at one point your star player. He was at one point having to deal with the fucking tyranny of Nico. Like, he's done it all for you. And your announcement is some fucking throwaway statement on Twitter about how you're benching collectively. Like, this guy deserves some fucking respect.
That's true, actually. I think even the title of the post on Mousesports page was just something like Mousesports with changes in the team or something. Like, he couldn't even get name checked in a post on the Mousesports website while being kicked from Mousesports. He's been in for half a decade or so.
And straight up, like I'm not even. Yeah, I'm not even exaggerating about that. That is fucking so unbelievably tone deaf. Like, if you're a fan of Mousesports and you don't love Chris J, you're not a fan of Mousesports. Like, the end. Like, he is the fucking core of that team for 40. This is unheard of, you know, when you think about all the fans in VP, where it's like, VP have had more fucking farewells than the Queen has birthdays, you know what I mean? And their fan base just eat it up every time, like, oh, I'm so sad to see them go. It's only about the 5th time they've all fucking retired, you know? It's just been a long, drawn-out farewell. You get other fans, like, you know, you think about, like, the announcement. I mean, fucking hell, Fnatic understand it. They just did an announcement saying we've signed Crimson JW on 3-year contracts, which seems insane to me, right, that you would do it. But they announced it, and all the fans are like, thank God, the bedrock of our team is sticking around. They're there for 3 years, right? Now, Mousesports are like, yeah, we're just making some changes. We're getting rid of the coach. We're getting rid of Steak. Oh, you all hated him, right? And just some arsehole called Chris that's been knocking around for 4 years. Like, it is really bad. Really, really bad. And, you know, I'm never one to advocate for fucking, you know, like putting pressure on organizations or mobbing up or whatever. But if he doesn't come back into the team, there needs to be like just a documentary made about this cunt on your dime that you pay for just to actually cement his position in history for your organization with everything he's done. So it really pissed me off. Like, I was critical of Chris back when he was fucking Online J. You have to go way back. You know, you're talking 4 or 5 years now when that was true. But you got to give respect where it's due. Like, this guy's fucking like say he is Mousesports to me, and I'm sure a lot of fans. And yeah, just really sad, honestly, that he's just been kind of shuffled out the door. Now, I'll ask you just as well. Again, we're gonna do a little bit of theory crafting here. Let's say it is Carrigan who's going to come in as an in-game leader. Thoughts?
Like I say, I think this is one of the moves where the reason why in the past I suggested teams like Optic and North is just because they're Danish and they clearly need an in-game leader. Like, if anything, it's those teams that would more want Carrigan than the other way around. If you notice, when I knew that Carrigan was benched from FaZe, the 2 teams I said I wanted was either Team Liquid or Mouse. And that's because these are teams that already have the pieces. Like, they're waiting. Like, literally, those are teams crying out for a Carrigan to potentially take them on that last level, which they're so close already. If you're already making all the semis, all the final, like at this point in time, that could be the little tweak you need to make you potentially number 1 or compete for it. So I like it in that end of it. Like, on the end of bringing Carrigan in, I think that would be a great move. I think across the board, especially because, alluding to what I said before, it's not like he has to stick with the roster he's even got. The good thing about being a Mousesports, assuming you have the money to spend, you have the choice of everyone. Now, it's not like FaZe where you can literally get the best player in the world, but you can get a lot of young talents out there to play exactly whatever role you want. So I think even the potential to like have a new chapter in his career is massive. It reminds me of when he got that kick from Astralis and went to FaZe. And what people forget, this is a great example, Richard, of how you can be a victim of your own success. People who are plebs, who are fans now, they think in their brain that like FaZe was always a dangerous team or something, or like, you know, it was always taken for granted that they were going to become good. I'm not exaggerating. Until the day Carrigan joined that team, nobody had any expectation for FaZe. In fact, most people probably would have said when Carrigan joined, well, is this even going to work? You know, he's coming from an all Danish. Like, there was a million reasons it shouldn't have worked. So if anyone could make this move work, it's surely Carrigan for me. And that would be a great end of it. I don't know who you get as the other player. That's the tough one, especially because you removed a player like Steako. It's tough to know who you get. Like, as much as people want to say names like Tarek or someone like, it's like, would that really work in this lineup? I don't know. It's going to be a very weird mix.
It'll be weird. There was a good joke by Biscuits in the chat there. He's like, with them kicking Chris J, it's more like rat sports. Not bad. I'll
Okay.
give you props to that one.
What you're saying is they should recruit Smooya.
I'll give a few thoughts as well to where Chris J could end up. If he is actually going to be out there in free agency and he is going to look for another team, I would propose dropping Adrian and putting him on FaZe. Hybrid AWPer, worked with Nico, cool under pressure. Might not be the star name that you're looking for, but I think FaZe don't need, star names. And I think that would be an upgrade in terms of his all-round ability. So, and it's entirely plausible. I think he's got a lot of clout in the scene, and I think there's a lot of people that would want Chris J on their roster, and I think he could honestly play on a lineup like FaZe. I think he's that good.
Here's the thing, that for me, the timing is what's so weird about this move, right? Because bearing in mind, this is supposedly just a completely independent move. Like, because they failed the minor, Mousesports Orgos obviously come forwards and decided, right, harsh cuts, just make them now, so we've got a time ahead of the major, because they've obviously got all these weeks off now, basically. Let's start the process of swapping out the roster. But if you look at the timing of all this news, so wait a minute, Richard, what you're telling me is, their big problem was their sort of streaky AWPer who can hit really good party piece type shots, didn't really fit with like the team spirit of the team, couldn't speak German, and just didn't quite, had a disconnect with God B. If only there was someone just like him, but not an arsehole, and had already played with God B and reveres God B. Oh, Chris J is that person.
Yeah.
It's like, for me, there's another move. Like, I understand in terms of like stature, going from mouse to big is a step down. But I actually think that might even be a good move for both parties. I could even see that being a great one.
Sure. That could be a game changer for big, because obviously a lot of people now are questioning their firepower. Well, if you look at who was performing at the minor, it was Chris J. I mean, he was dropping fucking 30s while everyone else on the fucking team barely showed up at all. So yeah, I mean, again, I think that would be, it's almost unfathomable that big could make that as a power move. But if they do, holy shit! Like I'm excited about big again all of a sudden.
I would love that move.
Yeah, I think that's a good shout. Actually, we'll wait and see, I guess. Because
the bigger problem becomes, if you want him to go somewhere and still be an in-game leader, there's not that many options available, unfortunately.
Yeah. There's been a few like sort of smaller talks going on. If we've got time at the end, we might touch upon them, or we might just talk about social media again for 30 minutes. Who knows? I did see that there was one of the brutal cuts over at North have started. Interesting to see who North have decided to scapegoat for their persistently poor performances.
Oh, I've got something for this one. Don't worry, Matt.
Oh, I bet you have. So this is obviously Ave, the legendary 1.6 player, played in a great MTW lineup. It was quite funny, actually. I saw you make a tweet or a Reddit comment where you said, crazy to think they only won one tournament. It was that DreamHack, I think, in 2010.
Yeah.
With given how good they were. But obviously 2010, that was the emergence of fucking Na'Vi, wasn't it?
Yes.
So,
and famously, for anyone who doesn't know, they always lost to Na'Vi in the same way Team Liquid always lost to Astralis. It's like, it was the same shit, basically.
Yeah, I remember a lot of it. And obviously, given that Na'Vi were such fucking arseholes, I was always rooting for MTW. But it's just one of those things. They just had their time came at a time when there was just one godlike team, ahead of them, and that it's criminal, like you say, that they weren't able to win more trophies. But Na'Vi were just the dominant force that year. But anyway, a lot of respect for Ave, and it was great to see him. Like you said, you started to have this consistency now, where all the legends of Danish 1.6 and prior to 1.6, honestly, was starting to come back and get involved in a thriving esports scene again. You had Wimp, one of my favorite players going way back. You brought in, you have Ave, obviously Zonic over at Astralis. You were starting to get this generational consistency that I don't really think we've seen in other scenes around the world yet. So I think this is sad, and I think honestly, it's a shame that this is the scapegoated move. And you know how it works in CSGO, right? The first thing you always do is cut the coach. The first thing you always do is cut the coach. You can't blame your in-game leader. You can't blame the players, even though they're the ones on the server. You always cut the coach first. And they've put a statement out saying he's switching his focus. He wants to focus on his family, and he's got a child on the way. I don't buy that, honestly. The timing seems really
That's
off.
what I was
me.
going to say, by the way, is that I've made this point before, but I'll make it again. Saying that you're going to take time off your job to spend time with your family is the adult's equivalent of when the 18-year-old player who gets kicked from a team says he needs to focus on school. You were already fucking doing that while you did your job. You're not focusing on that. What you're saying, quite obviously, is now that is the only thing you'll be focused on. Well, yeah, because you don't have a job anymore. Like, that's not hard to follow. But the idea that, like, I've got the cart before the horse here and you decided to leave and go, no, what happened was your job wasn't working and you've either been told step down or maybe you've quit. And if you've quit, it had fuck all to do with your family, by the way, because your family was already there. And also, the ideal scenario for you, if you have a family, is to have an amazing job and have a great family. So, like, I'm not going ham. Like, it's basically just a small annoyance that people have to make these weird excuses instead of just saying something like, I just don't want to do this. Like, this isn't the team for me, or I don't like the expectations of the management, or whatever. There's different ways you could phrase it. But if I had to guess, this does look as though someone sold North a CSGO team called Dignitas, and they promised them they would be so fucking good, and if we gave them all this infrastructure, they'd accomplish great things. And unfortunately, not only haven't they, but the killer for them, Rich, is the existence of Astralis. Because if you're the North people who invested in this org, you're looking over at Astralis going, but in their case, they're telling everyone it's them getting the infrastructure that's making them the best. We gave you guys all that infrastructure. What the fuck are you doing? And then you fail in fucking miners, etc. Like, what do you expect at this point in time?
I think the worst part about it is, imagine if you are the owners of North, and if I remember rightly, it's that movie studio put the money in as part of a
Lionsgate or something. Isn't it? No.
Yeah, Lionsgate, and they've got some partnership with a football
FC
team.
Copenhagen.
Yeah, FC Copenhagen. So like the sad thing for them isn't so much that they're not the number one team, right? But it's that they're not even close to Astralis. There isn't even a rivalry there you can sell. You can't even like have, an exhibition match between these two and realistically sell it as vaguely competitive. They're just so far behind. And it's not because of people like Ave. The bottom line is you've got to start getting fucking they've had a real good run of coaches, honestly. I mean, Ave, who I've seen him on shows with you where he definitely knows what the fuck he's talking about. Rugger, I always thought was an unsung hero in the scene in terms of what I know he does.
If there's one thing we can say, Richard, it's that apparently every single player who ever played for North, every coach who ever worked with North, they are all the problem. The only person we can be sure isn't is AZ. Whatever he's doing, it's fucking perfect every time. Well,
no, but this is the madness, isn't it? It's like I don't understand how, if you're a decision maker at North, you can sit here and in retrospect think the Cadian move was a good one, and that AZ is some sort of untouchable player. Now, again, the Carrigan question has to loom here, because if you want to fucking reset things. You kick your coach, you bring in Carrigan, you replace Cadian, immediately you put AZ out and you let Carrigan get a play. Don't know who it would be. Some people are talking about Mertz being a potential move there. I don't know, maybe they might want to aim a little bit bigger. Doesn't even have to be Danish necessarily. But in North, you've got you at least have two jewels in the crown, right? You've got Valde, one of the best players in the world right now, no doubt about it. He must be sat around, staring at his fucking mobile phone, waiting for it to ring. Because I say it all the time. If FaZe go out, you don't even need a simple anymore. If FaZe go out and get a Valde, I think they're over the fucking top. I think suddenly we get a great rivalry with Astralis and FaZe again. What 2018 should have been. But Valde is so fucking good. And you've got Kiebi who's coming back.
Did you see, though, that's a detail I want to bring up, actually, because we never talked about it on this show. But I know that after Xantaras joined Big, he made all these comments, and someone else also, I think, maybe one of his teammates made a comment that he'd had offers in the past from teams like FaZe and that he turned them down. And what I saw implied, so I wondered if you had any thoughts on this, was it was implied that like FaZe basically doesn't want to like spend mega bucks now. They don't want to go and get like a simple and pay way over the odds just to get him. And if you look at the last few moves, if they really were offering people like fucking. Obviously, Automatic, I think, was a name that was mentioned. You think more recently, Zantares, Edren. These probably aren't the biggest buyout players in the world. These aren't the guys who are going to break the bank. Do you think that's accurate? Is that in line with anything you've heard?
Well, all right. I mean,
because the problem is, normally when we speculate on FaZe, you think with that in mind, well, why don't they just get fucking Cold Zero and get this? Well, maybe they can't. Maybe they don't want to do that anymore.
Without putting too fine a point on it, there's a lot going on behind the scenes at FaZe that basically mean, and I can tell you about it off stream if you're curious, but it's sort of a bit too early in the process to say publicly. But if people did some digging, you wouldn't even need to be a journalist to find it. All you would need to do is Google, let's say, the names of some people who came into FaZe to help sort of run it operationally, and you would start finding things because it's been reported. It's just journalists actually don't do their job anymore, Duncan. Journalists sit and stare at Twitter all day, or they write opinion pieces even though they haven't been in the game long enough to have an opinion worth hearing. Or they rewrite somebody else's news.
If this Fortnite character was a fart, what fart would it be?
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, but the reality is there's stuff going on in the background at FaZe that make spending any money right now, like big amounts of money, that is, not, it's uncertain. It's not. It wouldn't be necessarily a smart investment. Things could go very wrong very quickly if they did that. So yeah, the idea of them spending $1 million to get Simple probably off the table, honestly, until. And it's not because there's anything financially wrong with FaZe. It's just right now, if you spend the money while this shit's going on, it could come back and bite you on the arse later. FaZe is still, a liquid organization. They're not going bankrupt. It's nothing dramatic like that. It's just they got some shit going on in the background. So they're not going to go out and spend $1 million. What they're looking for is a short-term solution until this shit gets resolved. That's my understanding.
All right.
So with that in mind, yeah, you're probably right. Valde is off the table. But, I mean, and God only knows what his buyout is. Because I know North. Well, I mean, put it this way: it totally depends on the contract, obviously. But I think there is not probably nothing in the contract. I doubt very much he has a fixed buyout. So it would simply be at the behest of North. And I think if you were to let Valde go for any money, you're pretty much just admitting right there that money's more important than success.
Of course.
But all that being said. You've got Valde, you've got Kirby, right? You bring in Carrigan. I still think that Gade has potential, right? It's not a popular opinion. I still think you could do something with Gade. I'd like to see how he developed under the tutelage of somebody like Carrigan. But there's another player that everyone always keeps bringing up every fucking episode. And that's that. I don't even know if it's like Blame F or is it Blame F or
the new player in like a Rock or something, right?
Yeah. Now a lot of people have been talking about this guy and saying, he's like, I'm calling him a kid. He's 21. It's not like he's some young 16-year-old sensation. But a lot of people have been talking about him over at Heroic and how fucking good he is. And obviously, there's the result that just happened today, which we may or may not get into, depending on how the topics flesh out. But a lot of people have been saying, this the real deal. So maybe if you're North, you replace AZ and you go get him, and now all of a sudden maybe we're talking. It's a little bit of excitement, a little bit of spice. What they've got, unfortunately, is the same old on the roster, and that is that if Valde and Kirby do not carry them to victory, nobody else on that team can step up. And it's like I said, I think they've got to go back and look at the point where they decided to scapegoat MSL and just realize how stupid that was. Like, in retrospect, it was one of the stupidest knee-jerk
That's
decisions.
one of those moves, Richard, where I feel like the best analogy I would give you is think about how many teams, if you're a fan of the NFL, have great teams and players and they've got good contracts, but they're still figuring out their quarterback situation. And that means if you're a fan, you are in fucking hell, because for the next 3 years, they've got a guy who's like okay now, but he's clearly not going to be your franchise quarterback. But at the same time, we haven't drafted the right person, so you don't have the next quarterback. It's like you can do anything with that team. You're always going to be capped out by that factor. Well, in the same sense, I can totally find a million good arguments for removing MSL from a team. But all of them better come with a condition where you're recruiting a better in-game leader. If they don't, you're just putting yourself into that nightmare scenario. Because listen, as much as MSL has his flaws, he also has strengths that if any random in-game leader just picked off the street aren't going to have. You know?
Yeah, but this is the fundamental issue. Like what they did here was the equivalent of, you know, you leave your loving partner a fucking, 10 years because there's the vague intimation that the fucking hot new piece of ass that you've met might want to make, a long-term go of things. And then after, a couple of weeks, they just ditch you and you're left with fuck all. And your life's in complete upheaval and turmoil just because you chased something that seemed really good at the time. And as the old saying goes, when the dick is hard, the mind is soft. So that's North in a nutshell. There was all this hype about fucking Cadian, right? And they fucking were like, oh, yeah, he's doing really well over at Rogue in a bunch of best of ones. He's doing really well in MSL, even though he was just MVP at that fucking tournament we won and has reinvented himself as an AWPer. He's a bit of a bell end, isn't he? And he did go out with a major.
Listen, a lot of things that happen that are weird in the world, and we all like to have fun and exaggerate them. But MSL, as the star AWPer MVP, winning that tournament with North, beating Astralis, who are probably going to be the best team of all time.
Beating Astralis twice.
Him doing that is some pure simulation shit. Like at this point, I feel like that moment, like 3/4 of the way through Total Recall, when he meets himself on that video, and he's like, you're like, wake up or whatever. Like that's who I am at that point now. Like, all right, this fake character needs to be deleted. Back to the original one.
Yeah. It's wild as fuck, man. It's wild. And people don't understand how mental that is, right? That they go to DreamHack. MSL is statistically one of their strongest players. He's open out of his mind. They beat Astralis, then they play them again in the final. They beat Astralis again, the world #1 team, hands fucking down. And he's the MVP of the final with his AWPing against, the all-star lineup of Astralis. He does an interview where he said, they were like, how did you manage to beat Astralis twice? He's like, what was it? I watched 50 demos.
I think it's like 150 or something.
Yeah. I watched like 150 demos of Astralis to break down all of their strats and just hope that we were going to play them. And then they went to the major, which we all agree is the worst major, tech problems to which North were disproportionately affected. MSL mentally tuned out, as he's been known to do. And then coming off the back of that, they're like, well, Rogue punched a little bit above their weight. Let's just replace them. And DreamHack was like fucking 2 weeks ago. How the fuck?
Do I not even get like 3 lands after that? Does that not buy me any time at all?
Yeah, like, I know it's the major. I get it, right? But like, nobody... Shit, man, in 2 fucking years, we're not even going to talk about that London major. It's like a fucking meme. You know? But like what's a man got to fucking do? To like buy a bit of time, a bit of breathing room. Meanwhile, fucking Azy's flicking his hoop, doing fuck all, game after game after game. Just a mediocre player across the fucking board, and he can't get kicked.
You'd think after watching Rogue get some odd best of one wins with an in-game leader who hasn't been an in-game leader before, if there's one message you'd take from the Face It Major, is not to count your motherfucking eggs before they're hatched. You have failed the one message, the theme of the Face It Major.
Is that what it was all about, was it? Is that what it was all about?
Basically.
That entire major was just to tell you, like, yeah.
Yes. Don't count your eggs before they're hatched.
Yeah, man. It's just wild, isn't it? Just fucking wild. And I don't know, man.
On every level, really, actually, because think about it, a lot of teams made the round of 8 who weren't actually that good. So people counted those eggs. Obviously, all the pleb fucking analysts listening to Scrim hype that Team Liquid and MIBR were going to beat Astralis. Well done, guys. Definitely called that one too early. So,
But yeah, just really, really weird. And now you're kicking a coach. Like, someone's just got to take control over at North. I'm going to wait. Obviously, they're not at the major. There is a chance the Carrigan move is on. As I said, Carrigan's pretty much just got the luxury of being able to go wherever the fuck he wants for however much money he wants to do whatever he wants. It's great to be in that position. But I just don't see how kicking a coach is going to affect North at all. Because, like, how many coaches are you going to go through before you realise there's not a coach in the world that can unfuck AZ or turn Cadian into something he never was, which was a great in-game leader? Like, there's no amount of coaching in the world can do that. Like, I don't know, man.
So what you're telling me is you're not excited to see Peacemaker become the new coach?
Don't even joke about it, mate. Don't even.
Here's the thing: I could believe, Richard, that they have some sort of a meeting, and then the higher ups are like, they hire him immediately, and they're like, "What do you mean? He had a fantastic resume of experience. He's worked with a lot of different teams, that over the years have been successful. He's moved around many different regions. In many ways, he's the most qualified guy for the job."
Right. Let me just bring up some other stuff before we.
But anyway, before I say yes or no, let me just check my Tinder profile. Whatever. It's such low hanging fruit, but it'll never not be funny. That's the problem.
I don't know. They weren't hanging that low in the picture, if you ask me. But,
well, the problem is
that will happen when you get older.
Richard, the problem is obviously I only saw that picture like a year ago now. So if I could maybe have some sort of an artist's rendition of the lower part of his body, perhaps in the form of a signature. If someone out there could make me a signature to show me the outline, then I'd have a sense for what it's like.
Yep.
Of course, at least he's polite. He doesn't just drip everywhere. He actually uses a fucking Kleenex or something, doesn't he?
Right. Do you want to touch a little bit more upon the Smooya debacle as it's unfolding? Because we only touched on it briefly in the last.
Here's the thing, Rich. I will say this: you actually do have to give Smooya a bit of credit. Is that this was the prime moment for him to go super selfish and make it all about him and cause some drama on the way out, maybe even throw some like shade at Gobby or someone, I don't know, someone in big that he doesn't like, maybe thought they'd mistreat him. I'll give him credit. He actually, at least with how he's handling this, does seem to have made some effort to improve his public persona. Like, he seems to be like from the interview I saw, he seemed to actually took the blame for a lot of the shit or said it just didn't work. Like, he seemed actually fairly level-headed on this one.
Yeah, no, I did look at the interview, right? So I'll just bring it up. He said, like, there was an interview with HLTV where Smooya elaborated more on why he made the decision to step down from big ahead of the major, and he basically said, like, look, obviously I'm benching myself before a major, which seems crazy, but that's how much I'm not enjoying it. He talked about, like you say, a little bit about how he felt like he couldn't adapt to the situation. But here's the thing, I
actually think he went too far with that, by the way. Like, he was doing that thing that players do sometimes, where they're like,
no, but that's how you know it's fake.
I know you do in a way. Like, I'll give you an example, Richard. This is how ridiculous the world is in media. Like, I saw an interview after the Super Bowl with Aaron Donald and the Rams, right? And he was going like, yeah, maybe it was my fault, maybe I should have done more. It's like, you did everything you could. What is this shit? Like, I understand the concept that we're, win as a team, lose as a team, but don't make out like you were the worst one. Like, you did everything. What are you talking about? Same thing with the Smooya one. It's like, you weren't the worst player, but you were fucking good. Come on. Like, you might have had some problems. I get that.
No, but like, it's like I've said, right? Like, you've got to understand, like, there's more to the Rat King than fucking meets the eye, right? This cunt's
there's layers to this shit, right?
Yeah, oh yeah, this cunt's playing a fucking long game, right? If you're a good player on a good team, Smooya cannot get his tongue out your arsehole. Like, when you see how fucking he just relentlessly praises the likes of Simple and everything else. In his mind, he thinks if he maintains these like good relationships, maybe one day, if there's ever a chance that they might play together, the vanity of it all, the constant flattery will make them go, what about Smooya? And like they'll bring him in, right? Meanwhile, if you're a player he considers mediocre, he will just fucking chew you up on Twitter and then delete it. Which, by the way, he's only done it again today to refresh.
Why is he deleting all the time, though?
Because he's a pussy.
What is this deleting shit?
Because he will not fucking stand by. Because, like, I don't know if it's like what he would benefit from, and I know people are going to say, haha, this is rich coming from you. Here's the thing, I don't delete my tweets. I stand by it. You think I'm an arsehole on Twitter? Cool. People go, it's just a persona. No, don't apologize for me. It's not a persona. If you're rude to me, I'll be mega fucking rude to you. The end. If you're nice to me, I'll be mega nice to you. The end. That's how I live my life. I'm not compromising being nice to utter fucking arseholes just so I can have like a few hundred extra fans or whatever by being fake. Not doing it. So all them people you think are great, they're not great. They just lie and pretend that they are because they know that's how the game is played. I don't want to play a game. I'm not interested. It's not fucking so.
Like, by the way, anyone who thinks that, like, oh, this player or streamer that I like is so humble because when actually I got really mad at them, they apologized and said they tried to do better and hold themselves to a higher standard. Like, they said all of that cynically for your benefit, you moron. Like, they don't even agree they were in the wrong. Obviously not. They did whatever they did. Like, what they did was saw their fan base reacted badly and went, fuck, better keep all these checks in the house, and just fucking did what they had to, didn't they?
Yeah. Exactly.
And sadly, that makes us, in contrast, look like we're the worst arseholes. We're arseholes, but not as bad as that.
So here he is. Like, again, it's like you've just stood down from big. It's at a crucial time in your career, right? You're having to stand in for fucking denial, playing on 150 ping. Don't know why anyone would do that to themselves when they could actually have a career at this game. You already have a bad reputation. You're already known for leaking shit. You already nearly fucked up one investigation into potential match fixing because you were told about it, told to keep it silent, but just for a bit of Twitter clout, you leaked it. You lied about shit that was going on at fucking Epsilon, making it look like you were getting absolutely wrecked when in actual fact, you were essentially downing tools and going on strike until you got the team you wanted. Like, you know, people know all this. It's all a matter of public record. Like, I would consider if I was an organization picking up this player, it's not even about talent right now. It's about the first thing I got to do is get this cunt on a couch, you know, and fucking get him talking about his issues because he cannot fucking be allowed to be in a team in a high pressure situation. He crumbles all the fucking time, you know? And it's like, and then you do this weird thing where you fluctuate and you're like, oh, I'll go for good PR today. I'll go for good PR today. Right. What I'll do is I'll say it's all my fault and it's nothing personal and big. That'll get me some good brownie points. People will definitely want to see me in a team.
You know, the sad thing I've realized now, Rich, is the reason I know you're right is because that is literally the playbook that Simple himself did. Remember, Simple's playbook was this. It's like Simple saw that fucking classic episode. It's my favorite episode of Seinfeld, right? There's an episode called The Opposite where George Costanza realizes, like, cause he's just fucked up his life so badly in every respect. He has the epiphany by talking to Jerry that if every natural instinct he has is wrong, if he just does the opposite, he will succeed. And then the premise, the conceit of the episode is, you know, instead of being scared to talk to the woman, you do the opposite. You go right up to her and just start saying, like, hey, listen, I'm homeless, but, you know, who gives a fuck? You know, the idea is then she's into you because you've played the hand differently. Like, that's basically all Simple did, was he flamed everyone for years and years and years. And then when everyone told him collectively, sort of like, this is totally unacceptable, the next day, the guy was just out like, actually, maybe it's me who can't carry the game and I'm actually a bad teammate. Like, all you've done is reverse it.
Yeah, fundamental difference with Simple is, right, obviously he's the best player in the world and possibly the best player of all time. But second and more crucially, he doesn't flip-flop on a daily basis.
That's true. He hasn't gone back, I will say.
He hasn't gone back to old Simple, new Gimple, whatever, memes for people who used to watch back in the day. But, like, so why would you tweet this? I know, Sam, I know you had it up on screen all that time. We didn't address it. If you bring it up again, I'll talk about it now. You're like, why would you do this? Thanks for the game refresh. Don't.
I like the way this is all
just been. Mood.
Who's took the screenshot and hearted all the tweets? Done the like?
I don't know. It's just a way of keeping it in your history. Right, that's what I use likes for. You know.
Okay.
Don't QFPL if you're in a bad mood or something. Don't waste my time. Thanks. Not speaking for an entire FPL match until I call him out on it, then just feeds 5 to 6 rounds by running out on the other side of the map through smokes and dying XD. If I did this for even 3-4 rounds in FPL, I would get banned for a week or some shit. An entire game? Question exclamation for emphasis, question exclamation. Right, so here's the thing with this, right? First of all, what a fucking stupid waste of time to be tweeting about this. Like, what's the premise? Like, you're going to try and get refresh banned from FPL for not talking for a match? Okay. Let's also underline the massive rank hypocrisy of this by the fact that you fucking went and stood up for Doc, who literally was mute and had paid somebody to speak for him while screen sharing with him while he was playing a game. It
was him initially.
Yeah. God knows what else that cunt fucking lied about. I can't even keep up. up, and you actually went out and defended him, and not only defended him, criticized me for simply stating the facts, then on top of that, you're trying to make out that you would get banned for a week in FPL if you did this. Brother, I've seen you on stream. You're always teeing off on people. You remember that argument you had with Apex, where Apex had to graciously pretend that it was all just banter and we're all still mates? You can't fucking help yourself. So again, I just look at shit like this, and it's like, Refresh finally getting his big break, you know, maybe get like some pros to give him a little bit of support. Maybe he's nervous. Maybe that's why he's not talking. But no, what you're going to do is actually cuss him the fuck out on Twitter, right? And not help him now that he's arrived. Do you know why? Because you, in your mind, think you're better and more established than him, which might be accurate. And Refresh can't do anything for you. You know? And that's how he operates. You got to understand the mind of the rat. Right? They'll do anything to survive. They'll do anything to benefit themselves.
Here we see the greasy little cunt rat. It's leaving the German... Leaving the German nest. Along the way, it spots a smaller, weaker Refresh rat and immediately attacks it with no regard for human life. Like, what?
Exactly. Yeah. It's just so dumb.
By the way, just a quick tip as well, Smooya. In that interview, didn't you say that you were ready to conquer NA? One of the biggest dogs in NA, Cloud9, who they just signed, Refresh. Well, I can't see how this could at all come back to bite you. Fucking hell.
Yeah, I know. Well, it was like, you know, obviously Refresh turned him down on a permanent basis and bounced, like, but I mean, I still think he probably is in good standing with a lot of people. It's just such a dumb thing to get involved in, is what I'm saying. Like, at the end of the day, people will go, oh, it's so hypocritical of Richard Lewis to talk about, right? It's not, because I then don't let it inform I don't need to get hired for a team, do I? You know what I mean? I've got my jobs, I've got my work, I'm all sound. Like, I can say what the fuck I want. It's all good. I'm not at that Scoots level yet, but one day, son. And then you'll see some real shit. But, like, he needs to get into a fucking team.
Then you'll stop censoring yourself and actually say what you really think.
Mate, no, but this is still only an 8, motherfucker. Like, honestly. So, you know, you need to get in a team. Now is not the time to be... You know, and you know how Reddit will blow this up.
Do you want to know something sick, by the way?
Reddit will say, oh, look at Smooya bullying Refresh.
Oh, obviously, yeah. As a quick sidebar, though, I just need to say this, right? This is what's mad. You would think, because I was thinking there, who in esports would I want to actually see if they, you know, like some like Jim Carrey liar type scenario where you just have to say what you're actually thinking. I was thinking who would be good for that, because obviously people would naively think, Richard, people like you or me, even though actually, to be fair, like we'd probably let through like 85% of what we actually think. Like we just keep out the stuff that's too dangerous, basically. The actual people, believe it or not, you would want. Like this is a sleeper pick, Rich, but I think one of the highest ones for real. If I could make someone have a liar type scenario, either Anders is an obvious one because of how ridiculous his private persona is compared to his real one. Like, by the way, he would have no job or rep after one day of liar scenario. But better than that, I would love it if DDK had to just say every thought that actually came in his brain. Like,
I thought he did.
No, because the level of
he actually did
rattling off. There.
You're telling me he doesn't?
No, imagine him even just like trying to think things through. Oh, it'd be insane, wouldn't it? It'd be so entertaining. He'd be unraveling as a human. Probably something tragic had happened, but I'd enjoy the hell out of it. Those last 48 hours, as I've called the documentary, the last 48 with DDK.
What the fuck are you on about?
And then his last call is just him on the phone to like threaten someone like, I never liked you anyway. Fuck you. Right.
So, what else was there on the fucking...
Was there anything more about Smooya? Was that it?
Oh no, because I'm just saying. I just think he's really heading down that classic British road of just wasting talent. Like on the one hand, right? I think I've said it. I think he's a fucking bell end. Like I got no time for the kid. But on the flip side as well, like he's the best British player we've had in fucking God knows how long.
A long time.
Yeah, can actually play on an international lineup, and it's like, why the fuck are you just determined to fuck your career up? Mummy, they're speaking German, mummy. Like, fucking get me out. Like, get me out of this fucking wild ride. Like,
get me that clip on its own with no context whatsoever, please.
Like, straight up, though, what you doing? You're on a fucking top European team playing with some best players about to go to the World Championship. The Germans, they're talking their native language. What is this? Like, What is this? Like, you're fucking up your career for that. Now you're playing with a bunch of South Africans. What, you think their fucking accent's any easier on the ear, do it? Fucking hell, bro. I can't even do it. Whatever. Irrelevant. Point is, man, why is he doing this? Why is he like this? Why? He's got to fucking stop it, mate. Like, what?
Especially because I've made this point before. Like, it's just not. I know to young people, they think that it is still an excuse to say, "Well, I could have done this if I'd wanted to." That only works when you're young and no one's done anything. When you're actually an adult, you notice I always default to this in any argument with anyone. I will always default to the angle of, well, let's just judge what we did do. Here's what I did do. There we go, there's my career. Or you might be better than me. No, it doesn't really matter what it might be, mate. Let's see what you did now. So by the same logic, it's like, that's what tilts me about the Smooya example. It's like, it's not cool to throw away your best chances. Like, part of what would be cool is if you actually tackled those challenges and overcame them.
Like, don't get me wrong. If you want to fucking moonwalk like that fucking governor from...
Where's this going? You're not really referring to that.
Can't be asked.
If you
want to moonwalk out of the fucking team, like, and make it look absolute like a G, like, it was all sort of my fault, but like, I'm kind of like Jesus in a way, aren't I? If he wants to do that, right, have a team lined up.
Yeah, of course.
Don't fucking be a bellend while you're in free agency. Because what the fuck, like, do you know what I mean? People watch shit. Like, you don't understand, like, social media, it's surveillance. Everybody sees everything you do all of the fucking time. Every time you have one of those mad tweets you then fucking later delete. Every time you have an outburst on social media, people see it. There's fucking deranged motherfuckers out there that screenshot everything. I guarantee there is one guy dedicated to fucking just following Smooya's Twitter feed and just sat there refreshing it and F5ing it and screenshotting it. And even if he has a tweet and then a fucking delete instantly, some cunt's got it.
He does seem to not understand how that works. Like, I can't tell if Smooya literally thinks he lives in a solipsistic universe where once he's deleted it, it no longer exists. Like, you can imagine him turning to a mate like, you know that thing I tweeted earlier? Don't worry, I took care of it. I deleted it. It's gone now. So, like, no problems with that anymore.
Yeah, it'd be great if the world was like that. Oh, well, he did tweet that out, but then he deleted it. So I guess it's not a reflection of his actual opinions and how it is. And he's probably just a bit emotional. So I guess what we won't do is screenshot it and talk about it anyway. It'd be nice, wouldn't it? But no, that's not the world we live in. So every organization that you want to go to, plus as well, I do also say, like, we should probably take a little bit of the heat for that too, right? Like, we say we don't like that kind of environment. Mad contribute to it with the fucking podcast all about. Like, I'm not completely unself-aware. Like, we talk about Smooya a lot. We gave him the nickname the Rat King. I'm sure none of that's helped his career. But
probably not.
Yeah, but you're giving us the ammunition week after week by doing ridiculous things, and it's like, if you stop doing that, we find another meme to talk about and make fun of. I know team owners watch this show. They get told all the time, like, love that last episode of By the Numbers, fucking hell. Like, there's a little bit of synergy. I'm not saying we shape the entire scene, but some of the theory crafting we do, that eventually comes to pass. And, sometimes owners have said, oh, you mentioned this and we didn't know his contract was coming up, actually. So we had talks and it worked out. There's this weird, like, synergistic maelstrom going on. People are paying attention to what you do, brother. Like, if you want to get to that next fucking level and be in a tier 1 team and be a star player and actually have people, respect you on all levels, all this shit's got to stop, man. And I don't care how bad things were, you should have gone to this major and you should have played at this major. Like, there is no world where this was a good decision career-wise. And also, as well, it shows weakness and a lack of character, in my opinion. Because, so the team's not 100%, you're not enjoying yourself. So you turn down the chance to play at the single biggest tournament Counter-Strike has. It's like you don't give a fuck about the game. It's like you don't give a fuck. Who the fuck, in their right mind, would, like, think about it in football. Yeah, fucking hell, we just qualified for the World Cup. Harry Kane, right? Oh, England in the World Cup. Yeah, I'm dropping myself. Can't be arsed. Like, some of my teammates are arseholes and I don't like the manager, so just count me out of going to a World Cup. Yeah, that happens every 4 fucking years. I'm not going to do it. It's like, don't you want to create your own legend, your own mythology? Like, if at the end of the major, when you banged everyone out, but Big go out the tournament, right, and you've played well, don't you want to turn around and go, look, I fucking was having a tough time here. I was playing with a team. I did, we weren't getting along, but I did my job. I played well. I can be a professional, and we still got top 8 or whatever, but now I'm leaving big. Why is that not a better sign-off?
Especially because actually the point you made earlier does tie in, which is, if that was legit when he was like implying like, yeah, it was my fault, I was having terrible games, I was in the minuses and stats all the time. If that's true, maintain that position then. When you join a team in the future, we ever criticize, you don't start saying, oh, I'm fucking sick, what are you talking about? No, you said you're shit. You're a shit player. But that's the point, you clearly don't believe that. So it's like, that's why it sounds so fake. Because here's the thing, if you really were that bad, you'd be justified removing yourself. But being as you aren't, and it's actually almost certain Big will be worse in the short term at this major while you're gone, you've also kind of fucked over your teammates. Like, they didn't know you were going to just bail last minute. I mean, I will say to everyone in Big, so Gobby, Lagia, fucking the massive guy who just walks around, who I've called Hodor, but obviously that's a low-hanging fruit joke that everyone's made. All those people out there, you're all
Psycho.
loving...
He's called Psycho, mate. Don't call Psycho Hodor. You don't call someone called Psycho Hodor.
You were all loving talking shit on me when you got Smooya. How do you like Smooya? How did you enjoy the Smooya experience? Was it people like me were biased, making up magic narratives about him, was it? Or was it all real? Was it all real as fuck?
It's actually interesting. You should probably get him on one of your shows, mate, an interview, and be like, listen, what is the Smooya experience? It's probably a bit too soon for them to be honest, actually. It might be something you need to do 6 months down the road. But I guarantee, listen, yeah, you must have known you were getting a player that came with baggage. You must have known you were getting a player who his mentality is all over the place and is his own worst enemy. Now, the thing is, Owen's still 19.
Sure.
I'd expect you to still be a little bit fucked up. I was a fucking... You can't even believe how much of a fucking bell end I was at 19. You can't even believe it. 19-year-old me makes current me look like a fucking... like Gandhi or some shit, Well, I can't say that because I was
the one out of Civilization.
Racist, so I better not say that. Yeah, exactly. I was Gandhi in Civ 2 when I was like 19, and Gandhi in Civ 6 now, But
good analogy.
Yeah, not bad, thank you. But you know what I mean? It's like it's insane that you are self-sabotaging in such a blatant way. Like you must. How many majors do you think you've got in a career? Like realistically, we only get 2 a year for starters. So how many do you realistically think?
And look how hard it's getting to qualify to them now. North's not making it. Fucking Mousesports hasn't made it. You can be in a good team and not make majors now.
Yeah. Like, straight up, it's not inconceivable that we live in a world where this particular phase lineup get banged out 0 and 3, then find themselves in some, wild fucking situation where, they have to come back and qualify again and all of this. There's a higher caliber of team now that's struggling to get to the major than we've ever seen before. And this is the time you choose to just walk away from a tournament because you're not enjoying yourself. Mate, this is about fucking sports glory. You think about, what, you think fucking Shaq and Kobe love playing with each other, do you? I mean, they blatantly didn't. They persistently complained about each other. But they went on the court, they got it done, and they won rings. Like, if you cannot put yourself in a mindset where you can ignore some of the annoying quirks and foibles of your teammates to go win a tournament, you're not cut out for this game. Be a streamer. Be that novelty, toxic UK streamer guy. Angry Counter-Strike nerd. Call yourself that and just make money. But if you actually give a fuck about winning trophies and having a glittering career, you don't walk away from the biggest tournaments. And none of the reasons he's given are good enough for me. So, there you go. That's my opinion, Duncan. Right, we're coming up. We've got 15 to 30 minutes left. So, what's in the news today? Hey, you see this? I mean, I will
really
say
grinds my gears.
Yeah, you know what really grinds my gears? I will say this, though, it's not really all that relevant, but we didn't talk a lot about ENCE in the last minor, and they did just have there's a Finnish LAN that they have every year called the ENCE Republic of Gamers Winter. It's called now, but I think it used to be Assembly before Republic of Gamers took over the title sponsorship. And they've just had that. I've been to a few assemblies in my time. You always go out there. It's bitterly cold, fucking a foot of snow outside the LAN center. And it's a shame because it used to be an international tournament going back to like the early days of CSGO and Source and 1.6, and now it's just more of a local finish thing. So it's probably not a surprise to say that ENCE just won. They beat Havu pretty comfortably 2-0. But it's been a really good time for ENCE in terms of everything that's been happening. They've got to the major. They're looking really good. Obviously, they won out that the European qualifier. Got really good form online in the Mountain Dew League. Obviously, just won another local LAN, still relatively prestigious within Finnish terms. And so a lot of people have been asking, like, do you think they've found that right balance? Are they ready to fuck shit up at the major? Are they a tier 1 team? So what think you, Duncan? I'm inclined to agree. And if you remember, last year towards the end, when you were still having a little bit of doubt, you were a little bit on the fence about them, a little bit ambivalent. I felt this. I think I did say this is a roster that'll break into the top 10 in 2019, and I still think that's true.
I think that's a reasonable expectation. Like for me, this is a team where I'm actually very interested to see, like for me, the metric at the major is can they crack the legend spot? Obviously, can they get a top 8? Like I think that would be a reasonable goal for this team. Going further than that, probably unreasonable. Any team you'd get matched up with at that point in time, probably a better team than you. But when you add in that the format has tweaked so that you got all these best of 3s before the playoffs, I actually think they're one of the teams, along with Big, fully enough, if they'd have kept their lineup, where they're like currently not elite teams, they're not at the top, but I could have seen both these teams having a good run, and thanks actually to being better, well-rounded teams than some of the Hellraisers of the world or whatever, could have made the breakthrough and could have had the big run this time and maybe have a top 8, which for a team like ENCE, where they've come from, would be amazing. Like, you have to remember, it's all about the scale you're on and who the players you are having, the resources and the expectations. If a team like ENCE makes top 8 of the major, that's success as far as I'm concerned. I think it's unreasonable to expect anything more at the moment.
Yeah, and there's a few teams that you say that about, right? Like, I agree with the tweet you made about NRG, saying that they've got to now... Yeah, they've got to take it to the next level now if they want to be taken seriously. That's an interesting one for me. I definitely think NRG are a better team than ENCE. But sure. I do think you're looking at this HLTV top 10 right now, the people they need to leapfrog are North, lol, right? And NIP, which I think would be a personal vindication for Arlu. Sure. I said it when he came back to Finland and said he wanted to play in a Finnish team. I was like, well, I get pretty much the same speech I gave about fucking Smooya. I said it shows a lack of ambition. And it's a shame because he's a talented player and he could play on the top team. Well, he's actually done it somehow. It's all aligned for him, and there was enough talent in Finland to make a top team. So you've got North, you've got NIP, Mousesports. God only knows what's going to happen to them as the shuffle happens, unless they hit the ground running. So immediately, and then obviously MIBR, right? So immediately you can see how. Oh, and then Cloud9. So immediately you can see a path that how ENCE can sort of get up there, get into the rankings, and they're within touching distance of it. I think that 2019 is going to be a big year for them. Honestly, I think this is where they go from kind of like pounding on the fucking tier 2 teams, and I think they actually start getting some really high level results against tier 1 teams. I think they're ready for that now, and they've kept the lineup together, done everything right. They've grown as a team. They've grown as individuals. Even now,
star players that young as well. Like obviously, just in his own development, he could get 10% better this year.
Exactly,
really happen.
Exactly. And then when you think about as well how we were all saying, commit one roster move, you get Sonny on this team. We were saying that like 6 months ago. Now that isn't even true. Like Sonny wouldn't bring anything to this roster the way he's playing currently. So yeah, I got a lot of good feelings about them. But yeah, they did just clean up at Assembly. There was also, or rather, the Asus Republic of Gamers. And
Winter.
Then Winter. Yeah. No, I don't think anyone goes to the summer ones. I don't even know if they have a summer one anymore.
The joke in Finland should be every one of them should just be called Winter.
Yeah, the Winter. Yeah, exactly. But then there was another roster move as well. That actually happened around about the time we did the last one. I was wondering what the fuck people were talking about. Because they were all going, like somebody said that Ricky had been replaced by Nico, and I assumed that in complexity, but they meant back in Rogue. So there's been there's been some roster shakeups in Rogue. Interestingly enough, Nico, a Dane, that's the little N Nico. Please change your name, son. I know it's just basic branding at this point.
Like mate, are you ready for a good one? So people from CSGO and Source will know this, that famously the player Scream not only copied his name, but the exact way it's spelled with the capitalized M off the 1.6 player from Sweden who played about 15 years ago now. Well, what's ridiculous is in Overwatch, there's a Korean player in Overwatch who's called himself Guardian and he's capitalized the N as well. Exactly the same. What a little cunt.
Yeah, unacceptable. I mean, it's not going to matter too much in 2 years
when
the league collapses. But
even so, come on.
And again, that's a generous 2 years, ladies and gentlemen. That's a generous 2 years. But anyway, so Ricky went out and went to complexity. I think my views on Ricky are clear. It's really weird as well because after the last podcast, and I was talking about how Ricky, isn't going to do anything in complexity. People were hitting me up and like going, statistically he was really good in Rogue, and it's like, okay, look at the games. Look at what we're talking about with complexity. Think about it. But whatever. So bringing in Nico for him. Some thoughts? Is this MSL trying to repurpose it and trying to get an all Danish lineup? I mean, I'll be honest. I've never really seen what the fuss about Nico was. Even going back to that heroic lineup when it was doing well.
But it's because the problem is, like, within the Danish scene, they tried to talk about Nico as though he was going to be the next star player. Like, it was supposed to be like he was good. Like, if you remember, the timeline was in Heroic. The story of Heroic was obviously Glaive getting out there, going to Astralis, and then Valde emerging as a really sick player. But then right around the time of Yugi starting to get good was when they had Nico as well. I think they might even got them both at a similar time. And they were supposed to be the next Megaskin config or Dupree and device. And obviously Nico never did that at all. And so as a result, now he's become some sort of role player, like he's just been set to be an entry player or something. And to be fair, he did a decent enough job. Like obviously he was a part of that North lineup with MSL that did win the DreamHack Stockholm event. Then he was bizarrely in Optic doing nothing for a few months, but whatever, fair enough. And they didn't seem like they used him very well in that team. So I think he's a decent enough player. To me, this is actually a very MSL type of pickup because it's basically where the type of in-game leader MSL is someone where he wants every round and every team to just make sense to him. And so when he has a player, this is why I think he kept Daisy forever. When he has a player where he thinks, right, this guy understands me. I know exactly what I'm going to get from him. I know what role I can ask him to play. To someone like MSL, that's a massive bonus. To the rest of us, we go, yeah, but that's all they can do. Like, what more do they do? Do they bring something extra? Are they ever going to make you good enough? He's not thinking about that. He's just trying to solve the little problem with this lineup. So I can see why they did the move. I don't think it does much to the team. Like, he's a better player than Ricky, yeah. Different type of player, of course, but
yeah, sure.
I don't think it makes Rogue a really good team. Certainly, it's not a bad pickup in their spot. I think it's a clever enough one. Using MSL to get a Dane in, like you say, you could also potentially go and get it more Danes and make it a European team if you ever wanted. Now it's an option you got. It's not a bad move.
Well, what's also interesting about Rogue is they brought in a coach from the new organization that came in that's owned by Sean Duras, the social media influencer, Space Station Gaming. Davies over there.
Yes.
We know him. What's interesting is MSL. I believe it's at his request. Has brought in a coach, a guy called Mix, who's sort of acting as more of an analyst rather than a traditional coach. I think that's how they've positioned it in the move. But basically his role, I actually talked to Mix about this move just the other night because he was kind of conflicted because he didn't know, he had a good thing going with Space Station and a potential to sign up for 6 months, and this is a little bit more risky a move for him, but he gets to work with MSL, so he was like, what do we do? Like, what should I do? And I was like, listen, if you can afford to not have the security and go work with one of the greats, always do that. Because those opportunities come through few and far between, and he made the decision to jump across, and I think that's the right one for him. But it does suggest to me that MSL is now really trying to get similar infrastructure to what he had when he was at North, and is really trying to get some mileage out of Rogue. I mean, you can see MSL's thought process here. He's not taking this lightly. I feel like the whole way North treated him is really lit a fucking fire under his ass, and he's actually trying to get Rogue to go somewhere, which I do not think it will happen for him with that current lineup. But at least Nico coming in and an analyst coming in does suggest the project is something that he's taking very seriously, and MSL's not there for a paycheck. So just a few thoughts about that, I guess.
Well, that's actually another thing I'll say in MSL's credit is that actually, that's one thing I never actually had any suspicions about. Believe it or not, I really do think MSL is the type of person who, when he joined Rogue, I know from the outside you think, look at this lineup, like you're never going to be as good as you were in North. You're never going to do that. If anything, if you want to be cynical as an observer, you should say, MSL, you should be very cynical with this team. Try and make yourself look really good. Hope you get a few placings and then immediately parlay that, leapfrog into another team, a better team, and go that route. But I actually think he genuinely came into the team. And it's a bit like Stanislaw going to complexity. They've just accepted that they're at a low level now. They're trying to make it work. They're trying to get a team that makes that get slightly better than the current lineup that they have and go step by step. And they hope, perhaps naively, that one day they're going to take these teams back to the top again. It's not going to happen. Like, about the closest you can get is what Stanislav did. Like, you sort of fluke your way out of nowhere into a major spot. Okay, cool. But you didn't follow that up with anything. You didn't get any other big placings. So that's the main issue I have here. Is like, I like all the signs that you're getting from MSL here. It sounds good. Sounds like he's committed to the project. It's just, even if you do all these things, it's like the North example. You can have all the infrastructure in the world. If the team isn't good enough, you're never going to win games. Like, That's why I actually love that angle where, it's such a famous thing, actually, that American sports coaches often say that. Like, they'll talk about angles of what their team's doing or what they were trying to game plan, but they often just say, like, the players play the game at the end of the day. Like, it doesn't matter what I teach them or tell them or game plan. If the player doesn't execute, we don't win the game. So you have to give them the credit and the blame in a way.
Right, sorry, I'm just sending Sam a clip in the Discord chat.
Have a listen to that.
No. Just listen to it off stream while we do this next bit, and then you tell me if that says what people say it says. Because I know people have a tendency to over-exaggerate and just make things up on social media. Who knew? We do have a question, I believe, from one of our...
Oh, my God. I can't even believe that. Mate, have you not seen that?
What?
Your boy in that video has a full-size 2-pack tattoo across his entire sleeve.
Oh, yeah, I know.
That is indeed.
What a ridiculous fucking caricature of a human that guy is. It's unreal, isn't it?
So Sam...
He's like one of those, like, shit character skins you get in a game like Grand Theft Auto or something, or Tony Hawk's Skater, where you just get that skin. Like, who would pick this? It's like, that's like his look. He chose that in his life.
Yeah, so can we... Sam, just to confirm, that's 100% legit?
That is what was said, yeah.
All right, well, I guess we'll play it on the stream then. So I was just talking about a certain UK player, like how he needs to sort of get his head in the game and think about, improving your brand. And maybe you might want to, defer saying certain things and behave in a certain way while you're in this free agency. So while I was doing this, somebody DM'd me a clip saying, yeah, Smooya's having a meltdown. I was like, all right, yeah, okay, how bad can it really be? And apparently there's a clip from Loba's stream where he said he told Refresh to kill himself.
Shout out to Loba for being so cool as to not remove the clip, though.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean,
in many ways, that's just karma coming back to fucking bless everyone involved in this situation.
I don't know. Do we play it? Can we play it? I guess we can. Right?
In the public interest.
We can just do audio anyway. Only the audio matters. Right?
Yeah, just do the audio. Let me know when you're doing it, and I won't talk.
3, 2, 1.
You have no idea how hard this guy's just through. Like, I had to call him a fucking bitch and shit for him to start trying, and then it went to overtime, and he just stopped trying, and I literally told him to fucking kill himself.
What the fuck?
Stupid fucking dog, man.
Bro,
every game in FPL.
I'm streaming, so I'm just gonna leave.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
Yeah, that.
I love the way.
No, man.
I think the best part's that part where, like, Lobachenya is like unsure about how linear events happen, and he goes, "Well, you've just said something fucked up, but I'm streaming, so if I just leave, does that make me not record what you said in the past?" That I was short. Wait, excuse me. If I leave the stream, do I even have a computer anymore? It's like, what is even the solution there? You still got the clip up, you moron. How dumb is this guy? He asks about someone with a full-size 2-pack tattoo across his entire sleeve. Why am I even giving him the benefit of the doubt? It's not a good state of affairs, though. I'll tell you that.
I'm just listening to it again. I'm trying to process.
He does say that. I mean, I will say, this is also why you don't ever want to appear on another player's stream after you've just played a game yourself, because people, understandably, if they're frustrated, are going to say ridiculous shit, especially if they think they're off stream. So you got to watch out on that one, guys. There's a reason why when I come on Anders or Vince's stream, the first thing I say is, "Are you streaming?"
Imagine a world where you're so fucking gone, Loba is more sensible than you.
It's the idea Loba just goes like, well, this is getting a bit,
this is getting a bit much.
Better get my 2-pack.
Now I'm off to tell a female employee who works at the org that's just hired me that she's too ugly to have sex with and she should bring a friend. Get me out of this fucking industry. I wish I'd listened to Scoot. This can't be it, man. There's got to be more.
You didn't know he was actually just trying to warn you.
I know. Look, let's just do it, mate. I'm serious. Let's just make the podcast. I've got a new idea for a podcast, Duncan, right? Tell me if you like it, right? It's called The Patriarchy. You and me, right, just talking about things, and we just never do Counter-Strike again. Fuck it.
And everyone who subscribes, and not patrons, they're patriarchs.
Yeah, they're patriarchs. Like, and we just fucking... Let's just do it.
And no women on the show, but not because we're sexist. We just don't have any female co-hosts. It's just pure coincidence, actually.
We'll make a point.
We wish we could get them, if anything, but we just can't.
We'll invite them on.
Only if they can get through an interview with our Chief of Human Resources, Loba Shenya.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we'll hire Loba as our HR guy. And
he seems to have his head screwed on, right?
Smooya can run our fucking Twitter account.
Of course. There we go.
Fucking get me out of this. Why would you do that? Why would you tell another pro to fucking kill himself and proudly boast about it while someone's streaming? I just can't.
To me, that just shows how young he is, Richard, and the fact that he is just like, he doesn't understand what he's doing. He's just doing things he doesn't know the consequences of. Because, like, I know what you mean, but put it this way, like, I would expect someone 19, if they thought, especially if they didn't know they were on stream, to say something like that. Like, that is the sort of dumb thing I would expect a 19-year-old to say. But that's with the caveat of, like, a normal, just random 19-year-old. Like, come on, you got to eventually start to get the learning curve of being in public. Come on. Especially because, by the way, I'll go ahead and tell you, Smooya, if what you're about to experience now is going to be the most annoying part of your career. Because what you're going to experience is exactly what happens if you are... I always give this analogy how if in-game you are someone who is like a Dennis Rodman type person who causes some trouble and mouths off a bit to the refs, now you get scrutinized even harder. So forget saying something like this, Smooya. Now you will get scrutinized if you say anything even vaguely criticizing someone. People will look over that with a fucking fine-tooth comb and find a way to get mad at you. So it only aggregates as you go. It stacks up how bad it gets. It gets worse and worse and worse as it goes. So it's just good luck, mate.
It's like the timing's the worst as well, because it's like...
Of course, yeah.
Maybe
if you want to make an NA org, come on.
Maybe
don't fuck with this shit, mate.
No, but it's not even just the fact he's looking for a gig, right? It's the fact that it literally comes at a time when all organizations have pledged to stamp out toxicity, hashtag stop toxicity, and people have all just, like, in the last week posted saying things like that about killing yourself and all that. It's completely unacceptable, which of course it is. And at the same time, we've also got a fucking mental health drive going on about how, men are disproportionately affected by suicide and people should talk about their problems. And you out here telling a fellow pro player to fucking kill himself on stream. Like, I can't even fathom it, man. Like, what? Like, he must hate himself. He must literally just not want to have a gig doing this anymore, man. Because in an alternate universe, he's on big, going to a major, and everything's fine. And now he's here, and he's done it all himself. It's like, what the fuck can you do? Anyway, the thing I was going to talk about, to segue into and then close out the show, was obviously MSL bringing in this analyst and making the changes at Rogue. There was this situation where they lost a qualifier for which tournament was it? Rogue, they just lost a qualifier for which event? It was like they went for some open qualifiers. Was it Star Ladder? Do you know? Get on Discord. It's better than Skype.
Is it back?
Yeah, it's back now. Of course it is. All you got to do is just read that Discord. So anyway, what were you saying?
Piece of shit program.
Yeah, what were we talking about there?
It was. They went for some qualifier, an open qualifier, and they got fucking.
We're talking about
IM Sydney.
That sounds like it, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it was
this
IM
is the
Sydney.
one, right, where he gets flamed by PTR afterwards.
Yeah. Basically, what happened was, right. So PTR, who I've known for years.
He's still alive. It's the news that I've discovered again, as usual.
Still alive.
There we go. You know,
he's still trucking.
It's one of those, isn't it?
Yeah. So PTR, PTR basically was playing in a mixed team because, like, it's crazy to me. Like, you talk about sort of lost potential. PTR is one of those players who he's had some good opportunities, and then it kind of went wrong round about that time. He broke his leg on a plane, if you remember.
Speaking of inconsistent players, God B has started with in the past.
Yeah, sure. But I mean, like, so for those who don't like, yeah, but that same time, PTR was grinding out like FPL like a motherfucker, right? And he fucking. He was top of FPL in NA for like 3 months in a row or something insane. Like he was just the player you had to have on your team to win. And he would just sort of sit there and, you know, smoke a ball and fucking play like FPL, and then he'd go practice and all that. And then, like I say, it was when the NRG went out to that event in Croatia, I think it was, where like he literally broke his leg on a plane. Like it's one of the maddest stories that everyone's got. Like, gets up during turbulence, gets bounced, breaks his leg. I can't. It's mental. But anyway, from that point onwards, he's kind of been in the weeds a little bit, in the doldrums. And he ended up playing on a fucking mixed team called Bad News Bears that were also going for the IEM Sydney North American qualifier, with such names that you may remember as Mitch and Shinobi.
There we go.
Yeah, and obviously Tens is the boy that people are talking about now. But anyway, Rogue lost to Bad News Bears. And just MSL, never really been able to read the room. I will say that about him. He put a tweet up going, I lost in the open qualifier. I expected to win against these teams, even with 0 hours or practice. But in retrospect, I guess we shouldn't. Time to start practicing. For
maybe I'm wrong. MSL is the one who's had that fucking liar moment, Andy. He's like, he hasn't realised. You're just saying your thoughts now, mate. And some people aren't going to like these thoughts.
Is the tweet for you, Sam. So yeah, he like basically just says, yeah, it's really weird. I thought we'd win that qualifier because everyone else was dog shit. You know, like, it's fucking, yeah. Read the room, maybe keep that one to yourself again. But anyway, PTR replied with, lol, you're a joke. Drop that ego maybe and have better protocols and discipline. Now, there's lots I can say about this. Obviously, a world where PTR gets to flame MSL for lacking discipline.
I know.
It's one of them, innit?
Just beggars belief, doesn't it? Yeah. You know, like, I don't like to call people hypocrites, but my lord.
I don't know, Chief. And then MSL just follows it up with going, I'm sorry to say it, but it's how it is. You played well and deserved the win. I'm not taking away from you. I just implied your team was utterly dog shit. And a team I can walk over with 0 hours, of course you're taking away from them. So it was a ridiculous back and forth because you're in this situation where PTR's not wrong, but of all the people to point that out, it was insane.
Scroll down a bit, Rich. Who do you think you see popping up from the peanut gallery to add his voice to that particular tweet?
I don't know who. Who are we talking about?
Young Smooya, of course. He's in there.
Oh, is he in there? Is he?
He's got his fingers in all the fucking pies, mate. That's the thing about food. You leave it
out.
Guys,
have you ever heard about this phenomenon called suicide? Fucking get me out, man. Oh, this fucking scene is absolute cancer, isn't it? Fucking 1 week of getting banged on by fucking Aussie nobodies for saying Reddit moderation is bad, and then you follow up into this, the UK Hope just fucking having an absolute meltdown, and fucking PTR
Why do you
coming
think
out.
It's wrong that Smooya wants to have his signature have the O be a noose? Why is that wrong then? You tell me why. Listen, old man, you're so immature with your podcasts. Fucking...
If he wants to draw hair on those 2 O's in the middle of his name, he's entitled to.
Yeah, it's bad, isn't it? It's fucking, I can't do it, man. I can't do the scene anymore. It's fucking so stupid. I thought the freelance hustle was bad enough. I thought having to fucking actually have the chance that a fan was literally just going to cap me in the head because he didn't like a tweet was bad enough.
It's not the best way to go out, is it?
No, having actual people with felonies saying they're going to come to Boston and kill me, I thought that was bad enough. But when you break it down, right, as much as I love this game, the scene is dumb, innit? Like, I mean, esports in general, it's all just stupid. Like, I've just had the epiphany, just the bullet moment, like metaphorical, obviously, not literal. Don't kill me. It's just all so dumb. Like, nobody's capable of just operating on just a fucking normal level, and I'm supposedly the crazy one for saying 6 threads about a fucking dick signature was excessive. Kill him! Kill him! Stop him! He's wild. I'm not triggered. He's triggered. Like, fucking, it's unreal, isn't it? This is my life, mate. Fucking hell. Give me that time machine. I'm gonna go back, way back. Just be like, I'm just gonna turn up and fucking talk to me like at 18. Oh, fucking hell, who are you? I'm you. 20 years from now.
Never watch
fucking
CSS.
Richard, I know what you do. Here's the movie. You ready for the real?
Where's your hair gone? You fucking came with.
This puts all the threads together in one. This is the move you do with the time machine. You use the time machine, because remember, part of the deal of a time machine is you also get to appear somewhere out of nowhere, right? You just appear out of nowhere about 3 years ago to Smooya, and you're pretending to have gone really far back in time, and you go, it's Owen, it's me, Owen from the future. If you don't turn back now, Owen, you look what becomes of you. And just pretend you're him from the future and fuck with his mind.
Mate, like anyone can fuck with his mind more than he fucks with his own mind. That cunt's just got a drip of DMT going into his vein. If I tell this bloke to kill himself on a stream, it'll be all right. Yeah.
Well, to be fair, maybe he is going down the Kanye route. I told you to kill yourself yesterday. You know, whatever that song was.
Timestamp all of it. I don't even know where the line is anymore.
Sad thing is, though, that used to be a fun thing to do back in the day before it became some like edgy shit or whatever. Like,
I think context matters. I think having a joke with your mate.
Yes, that's the difference. Because by the way, that's one of those things where I noticed that Twitter had got mad out of control. Is someone did that to me? Someone reported some tweet where I'd put like KYS, but to like DDK, so I've been like a personal friend of for like 10 years, and I had to delete that tweet to get my Twitter account unlocked or whatever, which is like, that is just taking all the attention behind what someone said and the context out of it completely. Like, it's not as though DDK was in some serious emotional danger of committing suicide. I wrote that as a joke, is it? Yeah. But obviously,
context matters. Context matters so much. We're gonna just delete this entire segment. Like, just
a whole show, in fact.
Yeah, it never happened. Gaslight you all. I went back in time to stop it happening. We're just gonna fade out at the end. That's what my shirt is. It's not glistening because of the camera. I'm actually fading out of time because I went back and stopped my mother having sex or something. I don't know. Fucking hell. Right, let's do the question and then we'll wrap up. $100 question from Reykjavik on Steam. Is the reason, and I know I'm just giving this one to you, mate, and again, we've had a lot of timestamps this show, Duncan, so please, right?
Gotta have something in the final VOD.
Just please give me some content or it was a waste of time, wasn't it? Right, is the reason why DDK and Bardolph aren't going to be at the Katowice Major because of what happened at the Face It Major, yes or no?
If it's a yes or no, I'd have to say yes.
Okay, well, now we can elaborate.
I would.
It's not yes or no. I just added that there to try and keep it safe. Okay, I thought if I gave you like a
okay,
but now actually, yeah, that's garbage. So just
put it this way: like it isn't. I wouldn't say it's only because of that. Like ESL and Face It. Remember, here's the simplest way to think of this: think of ESL as EPL and think of Face It as ECS. Now you can understand why they are direct rivals, literally in a fucking zero-sum game for who's going to get all the viewers for leagues and have the biggest league in the game. So they obviously, as companies, are head-to-head and directly at war with each other. And so I can totally understand why, if you're ESL, you think to yourself, well, I already work with 2 of the duos, so why don't I just get the 2 duos I like and work with, and then get everyone else I like and give some of the younger people I have at my events a try? Now, I get it. in an ideal world, as I've always held to, you'd just hire all the top talent. You'd hire all the 3 pairs of casters. I'd even hire some of the younger casters as fill casters. Have them do some of the smaller games. Work it that way. You'd hire all the top analysts. But the point is, the fucking utopia in which every tournament organizer was going to do that existed for literally all of about 1 year in Counter-Strike. And that was only because ESL tried to go too far, got pushed back, became a bit more reasonable. And so for a moment, we didn't have any one person in the scene was fucking everyone over and trying to do exclusivity and cut people out of the industry and use industry politics. But thankfully, FACEIT came along, resurrected all of what I've just described there, all the industry politics bullshit, all the like, I'm not going to let you work my event because you didn't let me. And thanks to them doing that, guess what? You've now encouraged ESL to respond in kind, because I wouldn't want ESL to do this either. Like, I've said this a million times. I don't even think Bartol's a very good commentator, but I understand why a lot of people might want to see him on this event and might want to see him at the major. And if he is considered a top caster, I don't think it's unreasonable that he should probably be hired. But I will say, how do you like the taste of that medicine? It's your fucking brew.
I mean, so my thoughts are this: like, in terms of the DDK and Bardolph pairing, I think they sort of exist in 2 worlds. Like, for an online competition, I don't like their style. I think it's and I understand why. It's like, you know, face it, they're employers, and obviously James must have a say in this, so I'm guessing he's okay with it. But they used to make them fucking grind so hard. Like, if you've been to the office and you've seen the hammocks that they have, where they would do all the European games, and then they would fucking get a nap for 4 hours, and then they would wake up and do all the NA games. And they would do this like 3 days a week, you know? It was fucking insane scheduling. So obviously there becomes this like point where you have to change your style, because you cannot maintain a level of hype casting. You would blow your voice out. You would blow your energy levels out. You couldn't do 8 hours of just non-stop hype casting. Shit, me and Henry used to do, where we would cast like, I don't know, like 3 or 4 series in a row, and man, like, you know, this is sat at home in the comfort of at your own desk, and it would absolutely wreck you, because that was back when we would just do traditional casting, color, hype. You know, and we just treated a meaningless online game as if it was like fucking LAN final. You can't do it. So I've always said online, you don't see the best of them. I think when they go to a big stadium and they've got a crowd, I think Bardolph like really kicks it up a notch in terms of what he delivers. He knows how to play at the gallery. He knows how to do his hype moments. I think him and DDK are a good pairing. But unfortunately, what we've got now is we have got, first of all, this seismic shift in terms of now you've brought back the dark days of people getting blacklisted or not hired on the basis of organizational affiliation. That had gone out of the scene. We were trying to work through that, but now it was very much back on the table with FACEIT. And listen, it's not like ESL ain't running game as well. I mean, fucking hell, we all know they're like, you know, better knock down those rates so you won't get on that fucking 80% of the calendar. We all know how they're rolling in the background as well. And obviously people don't speak up about it. Me, I don't have any skin in the game. I'll say what the fuck I want. But that was going out the scene, and then for this major it came back, and it's a travesty. Honestly, it's a travesty to think that there was actually a world where Sponge wasn't going to do the later stages and was only going to do like the very early stages of the tournament because he's effectively ESL without being ESL. I think. Again, I like the idea of putting politics aside for the major, but we've all just sort of tacitly accepted that whoever runs the major gets to put their men in the final of the major. We all just tacitly accept that rather than it being a meritocracy. Maybe that's fair, maybe it isn't. It's not my place to say. I think if you're running the show, you get to call those shots. And honestly, we've got so many casters that are all good that any of them can do a final, and it sounds like a final. So there's that. But the other thing I'll say is the thing you've got to be mindful of, like the emergence of Scrawny and Launders really shifts the paradigm. We've all accepted for the longest period of time that basically, yeah, fuck it. It's actually, we've only got 3 commentary duos that are capable of doing a final. We've all just accepted that. Well, that's not true anymore. I mean, like, in terms of, or rather do an event. Scrawny and Launders are ready for tier 1 events. I think you're going to see them in loads of events this year, and it's probably going to be at the expense of DDK and Bardolph, because on a perception level, they're the ones down.
What this has just made me realise as well. That triggers me even more. It's two different angles that the exact kind of people who had that Bardolph and DDK aren't hired now themselves would have used, which is when they were first getting hired to events where they weren't the top casters, but they were getting added to the billing as well. Well, people always used to talk about, give them a chance. They're up and coming. Yeah, that's what they do. That's what ESL's doing with these people. What, do you not like up-and-coming people when it's not the ones that you personally like? Well, how fucking convenient. I told you to hire the best ones before. And then the other angle is, do you remember what people said, Richard, when I made the point that, like, Daps, for example, had never been an analyst, and his first event is a major, and that story where they were maybe going to use community casters for the first part of the major. There were actual morons whose logic was, well, we've never seen these people, so for all we know, they could be really good. Just give them a chance. Right, apply that same logic. That's why Bardolph and DDK out the major. We're going to give someone else a try. Doesn't matter if they've ever done it before, at that scale, if they've done a major, we're going to give them a try. What a terrible system that would be, obviously. So just as at the time I said that was a terrible system, the logic doesn't suddenly make sense now. Like, you have to be consistent. For me, a major should be the best talent because you're trying to make the best tournament.
Yeah. And right now, it's the only talent decision we know, right? They've not made an official announcement. We just know that DDK and, well, we know James Bardolph won't be there. Is it a given that DDK won't be there?
DDK also, he did something like an Instagram or something where he said something like, I won't be at any events this month or something along those lines. Like he did basically just said he wouldn't be at the major.
And again, there's, like you said, look, there's lots going on. The reality is ESL, like every organization, I'm not saying they're bean counters, but they are like looking at money and value. And honestly, and unfortunately, when things occur as well, and I'll just say this, and like, listen, again, I've got no beef with James, but I'm just calling it as it is now. It definitely doesn't help if when you're at somebody else's event, you basically advertise a rival service. So, for example, in one of his famous calls where Simple drops down and gets a double thing, he screams, "You can't do that, Simple! This isn't FPL!" Well, if I run the SEA, why do I want to put in the fucking president of a company that runs a rival service? And that right now there's like a bitter war between ESEA and FPL in terms of they keep upping the prize money to try and, territorially dominate the other one. So why on earth would I want to basically hire the guy whose company is doing that and also have him potentially on my stage, on my stream, to my audience, advertise the rival service we're trying to crush?
And people don't think about this as well. Is like, yes, Henry and Sado technically are like ESL people as much as they have the deal to do Pro League, right? But that's actually just a temporary contract. Like, Bardolph works for Faceit. In fact, he is the guy who hires talent. So the idea that the guy who hires talent for the rival company, who then used industry politics to not hire people he personally didn't like, no matter how good they were, now isn't going to be hired by his direct rival company to work their event and, as you say, possibly advertise the rival. So, fucking hell, how outrageous is that? It's actually a completely different context to anyone else not being hired. He has the most reasons to not be hired.
Yeah, and as I said, like, I don't think he was deliberately advertising in that call, by the way, just to clarify that point. I think he was caught up in the moment, and because he does so many Faceit games, it just felt natural. But obviously, it is a consideration, and if you think that tournament organizers don't look at things like that and worry about it, you don't know the minutiae that people get into when they make these hiring decisions. But you're absolutely right. The bottom line is that there's no reason. While he's an executive at a rival company, there is no reason to hire him to come and work your event. And that's the thing. James isn't in the freelance talent pool.
Like, his scenario is different from DDK's,
Yeah,
like, I know
exactly.
DDK also technically works for him, but he doesn't hire talent. He didn't have anything to do with this industry politics. He's just a guy.
Yeah, exactly. And I'd say this, like, James would never complain about this. James just takes it on the chin all of the time. I've never seen him get salty about not being hired for an event or ever complain, because he knows.
I will say it's his fans doing it, as far as I can tell. Not him.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, exactly. Like, you got to give James. He understands the business. So it's not like James is out there complaining. He knows that when it's a Faceit event, he'll do the hiring, and he also knows that when it's an ESL event, chances are he probably won't be hired, and he's never complained or bitched. Who I do feel sorry for in all this is DDK, who exists in this weird twilight of being a Faceit employee, but one who can also contractually work freelance events. And
by the way, when you
doesn't get to do many of those things.
When you consider not only does DDK have a unique but good skill set, and what he does, he's one of the best. Like everyone out there who on Reddit who's been telling me is a way to try and bash on me for the last 20 years. Like, you don't know enough about the game. DDK knows more than all you motherfuckers about Counter-Strike. Like, this isn't even his main game, but he's just someone who studies stuff, breaks it down. He's watched 1 million games, and he's never had a single scandal around his person and his persona. No. He's never had a single time where he's played industry politics and fucked with them. If there's anyone should have been basically at every major he was eligible for, DDK is the person. Like, as I said, even if I had to, say I was ESL now, for whatever reason, I decided I'm not going to hire Battle, I'd still hire DDK personally for that reason. Yeah. He's a fantastic fill guy as well. You can put him with anyone.
Yeah, as I said, I think Dan's in the worst spot. But at the end of the day, look, guys, it just is how it is. We have slowly begun to accept politics being a part of major hires. Right, we have, and I mean, listen. Obviously, I worked for E-League. I don't know how guilty we were of it on a almost like a political basis based on affiliations. I don't think we ever had that. But for example, we had a partnership with Face It in season 1. It wasn't optional. DDK and James were coming in because of the partnership we had with Face It, because they were running the games and hosting the servers. So it wasn't like we made a complete open choice and meritocracy. I'm not saying they wouldn't have been there. But the reality is that's how it happened. Then there was the thing with Yanko, who should have absolutely been there. But there was a worry that on American TV his accent was too strong, and that was pretty much the deciding factor as to why he wasn't hired. So it's not we allowed something that wasn't happening in 2015. You think about the hiring process at Cluj-Napoca, and how we just get everyone. People even took pay cuts to get everyone there. We get all the best talent. We just do the best event that we can, rotating hosts, even creating roles for people, so legends like Scoots can be involved. That was the good time. That was the peak time. Now, we slowly started winding it back, and we end up here at the start of 2019, where, guess what, guys? Politics is back on the menu. If you work for this company, you don't work for this company. That's it. So I definitely think it was a factor to answer the question. Anyway, the podcast has run over, so it's time to wrap it up. A classic episode of By the Numbers, I think. I don't know how much of it you're going to see in the VOD, but who knows? But if you watched it live, that's why you should. Make sure you also follow on Twitch, and then you'll get updates. If Twitch can be bothered to update, which they probably don't for me, but who knows? So anyway, thanks to everybody who tuned in, all the people who liked, subscribed, followed. Good to see so many Twitch Primes getting thrown at us. Appreciate that. Obviously, thanks to the sponsor, rivalry.gg/RLS, for sponsoring the channel. I wouldn't be able to focus on content if they weren't doing that and sending Sam his slice of the cash, because Sam would be working some fucking job. Probably he's in Tesco's or something.
Him and Smooya would be stacking fucking beans for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
And then Smooya would turn to him and say, well, have a good night, kill yourself. And then,
at least you said they're stacking beans, not blowing
manager,
beans.
at least, mate. Come on.
True. That's true, yeah.
I don't know, Sam. I don't know if you have...
They wouldn't trust me to stack the beans, mate. I'd be launching.
As long as they didn't drug test.
Yeah, exactly. That'd be the first thing. Sam, it's all a formality. We're going to complete run of the store. Very impressive resume. Can you just piss in this bottle, please? And melt it. Just melt it in his hand like it's over. Anyway, so thanks to obviously rivalry.gg. Be sure to go out and sign up and get $350 VIP bonuses if you use the code RLS. Shout out to our $100 patrons. I know some people are starting to withdraw because of the Patreon censorship thing. Remember, that's totally okay. I support your right to do what you want with your money, obviously. Duncan doesn't, but I do.
Just Western Union me the $10, no problem.
Yeah. So thanks to Jerky's Minion, Botvik, Mikhail, Alex Rangerson, great fucking name there, what a Viking, new one. Detlef Insomniac and Rekovic on Steam, it's our $100 patrons, thank you very much for the support. And our $50 patrons, Manuel Stockley, Sard Sawar, TC Owens, Watch Doge, Carve, Roosty, Nostradamus, Marcus Kyunpar, Madsen, Colin Penny, and Benakagi Assassin. That was By the Numbers. Until next time, take care of yourselves.